Okay, Mr. Chairman, you have a quorum.
Let's do the video. Do we have anybody on Zoom?
There is.
Okay. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the City of Hialeah Planning and Zoning Board meeting for Wednesday, May 28th, 2025. Everyone please rise for the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. Lord, we thank you for granting us the opportunity to be here tonight. We ask that you please watch over us, enlighten us, and help us make the right decisions for all those involved in front of us here. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for it. You may be seated. Play ball. Play ball.
Meeting guidelines. The following guidelines apply to today's Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Any person, whether participating via the web platform, telephonic conferencing, or physical presence at City Hall, interested in making comments or posing questions on any item of the agenda may do so during the meeting. Members of the public may hear the meeting live through telephonic conferencing using any telephone or cellular phone service. A smart device or computer are not necessary to participate in the meeting if you join by phone. All persons participating via the web platform will be muted during the meeting until called upon to be heard. Participation through Zoom requires a computer or small mobile device with a microphone and web camera. The participant may elect to participate in the meeting using audio only or appear through both audio and video. The video function of all participants appearing through video will be turned off until called upon to be heard. All lobbyists must register with the Planning and Zoning Board prior to item being heard. A maximum of 4 speakers in favor and 4 speakers in opposition will be allowed to address the Planning and Zoning Board of any item. Each speaker's comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Now, roll call. Mr. Perez?
Here?
Mr. Mason?
Not here.
Mr. Iglesias?
Here.
Mr. Jimenez?
Here.
Mr. Ulloa?
Here.
Mr. Santiesteban?
Here. We have a full quorum. Well, we have a quorum.
We have a quorum. Administration of oath to all participants and anyone who will be speaking before the board on any item.
Anyone and everyone that's going to speak in front of the board, please stand, raise your right hand so we can swear you in. That includes all those on Zoom also.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth before this board? ¿Usted jura o afirma decir la verdad antes en esta junta?
Thank you. Let the record show the answer was on the affirmative. You may be seated.
Summary minutes or a copy of the audio file of the proceedings before the Planning and Zoning Board shall be prepared and submitted to the City Council before its hearing. The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing requests will be heard by the City Council and its scheduled meeting on Tuesday, June 10th, 2025.
Through the chair.
Yes, go ahead.
Chair, tonight we have a resolution. It's the item under the zoning section number 8. It is a resolution to adopt and support the Hialeah 2050 master plan. And I will, since we have the full consultant team over here, would like to ask you if we can hear the item before the other items.
No
Can the board, Okay. All righty. Thank you. Let's go ahead and call them in.
Item number 8, resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Hialeah, Florida, supporting and adopting the Hialeah 2050 master plan. and providing for an effective date.
That will be.
Good evening, members of the board. My name is Juan Mullerat. I'm with Proservia Design. I'm the principal. Do you need my address as well?
Sure.
1385 Coral Way, Miami, Florida. I'm very happy we can start the presentation. I'm very happy to be here. It's been 2 years coming, so we're very excited to come here and present to you. Can you go to the next slide? We have been working tirelessly. Claudia, we mentioned that we have our entire team here. It's not really quite the case. We have an entire much larger team working on this. I will present both the team and the general aspects of the project, and then I'll pass it on to my colleagues. Go to the next slide. Our team is made up of, can you go to the next slide? Our team is made up of many members. We have EXP, Transportation and Mobility. They're planners, engineers. They're experts in bicycle mobility, infrastructure, freight and parking. We've also worked with Urban Studio planners and urban designers, specializing in livable transportation and complete streets. And then we also brought in the Corradino Group planners also and transit planners, TOD experts, traffic engineers, and we also thought that it was important to bring in architects that are able to visualize and advance some of these plans into more palpable and implementable projects. In this case, we brought Kure Penabat, who are local architects here in Miami. Go to the next slide. As you all know, Hialeah is a critical member of, or a critical municipality within South Florida. It's very central, and that has its pros and cons. It means that a lot of eyes are on you, and you are in this central position. You are a cornerstone of the economic growth of the entire county in South Florida. This central location also means that you are very near to the airport and have other elements around you that are critical to the infrastructure and the functioning of the entire county. Go to the next slide. So in putting the project goals together, we had to look at both the big picture and the more local, more specialized, more individual picture of Hialeah. We were tasked to provide a 25-year master plan. That means that not everything that we're going to do, we're going to see right away. There's going to be short-term goals and projects, mid-range, and then long-term. We did that, number one, by listening to the community. And we prepared an extensive report of what we heard and how that gets translated into the master plan. We knew that we would hear how the community would feel about growing. Hialeah is all built out, as you all know. And so it is critical to understand and to put forward some guidelines as to how you want to evolve into a more livable city. And we knew that we've heard time and time again that mobility, parking, and public spaces are important to improve and also to provide more and better spaces for the community in the future. Go to the next slide. Our 2-year project started in September 2023. I know it feels like yesterday, but it's not. It's been 2 years. It's been tiring, but we've gone through all the motions, and we're very excited and very proud of the work that the team has put together in collaboration with your planning department, as well as many of your other departments that have been involved in the plan. Go to the next slide. I'll show you a very quick video of some of the events that happened throughout our 2-year project. We did more than 30 bilingual events in one single year, in the first year. That's when we heard the community. We followed up with them over time. There were workshops, walking audits, open houses, community events such as, my favorite one, Santa Snow Blast, where we got a lot of information. Unfortunately, it was good weather in winter, and then the 4th of July as well as many others. We did many different formats, again, bilingual, online tools, website, in-person, and online surveys. And we spend, again, a lot of time listening and a lot of time explaining what the impacts of some of these proposals mean. And again, putting together a vision that would include and be inclusive of your community. And the video is running a little slow, but there we go. All right. So all of this that we've done has been collected in several reports. It's a collection of material that has been distributed to your departments, and it has been vetted by them to make sure that they are in agreement with those recommendations that we've put together. And I'm talking about parks, I'm talking about infrastructure, roads, planning, of course, is the key component here. And that report, the main report, go to the next slide, which is the key master plan recommendation report, focuses on 4 areas, which are, again, critical for your evolution as a city in the next 25 years. The first one is urban design and land use and quality of life. That's the part that basically captures how the land use should evolve and how to improve quality of life. The next one is access, transportation, mobility, and connectivity. That includes everything from how trucks move, where they move, and whether or not there's public transportation available and where that should be. We've also looked at infrastructure as the third pillar of this project, with public services that would support the city's current and future growth. And then finally, something that I know is always an issue on every project that you see in front of you, parking and parking management. That was a key component which we thought that it had to be separate from the others and related so that we could study it individually and understand how that would impact the rest of the master plan. And with that, I'm going to pass it on to Maria, the project manager, and she's going to give you a little bit more detail about those reports.
Thank you. Maria Benfeld, 6066 Southwest 48th Street. Thank you. As Juan mentioned, the 4 pillars of the master plan recommendations are your urban design, land use, and quality of life, transportation and access, infrastructure, and parking. And so our public outreach and existing conditions analysis resulted in a list of needs of the for those 4 main themes. So I'm not going to go over through the entire list, but some of these are increasing a sense of place and identity for the city, need for a wider range of housing types, increased enforcement, increase of mix of uses that are closer to homes, enhancing and improving and expanding the open space network, increasing safety for all modes. That includes bicycle and pedestrian connectivity, need for comfortable and frequent transit system for the city that is connected also to the regional system, improving multimodal facilities, balancing truck activity, planning for flood mitigation, increasing water and sewer capacity, and parking enforcement, as Juan mentioned before, and need to manage and finding solutions for managing parking. Next slide. So some of the key recommendations, especially to urban design, land use, and quality of life, we're going to go into, I'm going to show you a few snippets. Like the document is a 400-page document with very specific recommendations to each one of these areas. So I'm just going to show you a few examples of some of the most important recommendations. Next slide. So some of the key recommendations for the urban design, land use, and quality of life are, as I mentioned earlier, is strengthening the city's neighborhoods and the identity of each neighborhood through design that makes people feel comfortable while walking, biking, and places that feel like home. Also supporting buildings and areas where people can live, work, and shop within the same place, so that they don't have to take the car to go buy a gallon of milk. Protecting single-family neighborhoods, that was one of our main pillars in this area of focus, and also allowing more types of houses nearby. So that's like smaller apartment buildings or triplexes or fourplexes, depending on the area where they're at. And making public spaces more welcoming by improving streets, plazas, gathering areas, and open spaces. Next slide. So one of the most important maps that we worked on, and we worked on this map like very thoroughly and in collaboration with the different departments in the city, is this opportunity area map. So we created this map by looking into the future land use maps, zoning, development trends, underutilized properties, and identifying key areas for revitalization. And of course, all of this, you see everything that's in yellow, all of this taking into account that the preservation of and protection of single-family neighborhoods. So the map shows 3 tiers of opportunity areas. What you see in the purple are the regional opportunity areas. This means that these areas are strategically targeted because of their location, the resources and infrastructure that's already in place. So these areas, I mean, all of them except for the 49th Street a gateway are your existing transit stations. Then the urban city center and corridors, which are what you see in the pink, are urban centers and corridors that have a citywide influence. And the third tier are the neighborhood nodes and corridors, which you will see there in orange, which are nodes that are identified as focal points that are for local activities and services. So they're meant to be walkable, accessible, and encouraging like a sense of community environment. Next slide. So strengthening the city's identity and sense of place, this map is showing the different entry points of the city. The irregular, the unique shape of the city gives us a little bit more entry points than typical than other cities, but we think it's important to highlight these entry points and make sure that all of them reflect that you're entering the city of Hialeah. Of course, this map also shows the historic landmarks in the city to be able to celebrate Hialeah's history and help build community pride. The plan also introduces corridors and neighborhood nodes in alignment with what's already happening in the city. And all of these recommendations, point out improving, transportation, design. All of these components work together in the master plan. Next slide. And this is an example. Next slide. Thank you. And this is an example of what's envisioned for 49th Street. Next slide. 49th Street is one of the busiest and most visited street in the city. And we see it as becoming a place that puts people first. So this is an opportunity corridor with a vision to make it more vibrant, welcoming, and walkable. The focus is on stronger sense of arrival, especially on the two, the west and the eastern gateways to the city. And the recommended upgrades include safer, comfortable sidewalks, public spaces, shade trees, lighting for safety, etc. Next slide.
Could you, excuse me 1 second,
Yes.
let the record show that Mr. Masones has arrived and he is now present. So mark him. Okay, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Thank you.
It's okay. Next slide. You can move on to the next one. And this is another example of how the recommended. Next slide. Sorry. Next slide. Yeah. Thank you. No, the next one. Yeah, there we go. And this is another example of the recommendations for Palm Avenue, the Palm Avenue corridor. These include, because of Palm Avenue already has a few alleys, we think it's important to try to gradually phase out back out parking and move it to the back of the buildings and provide better sidewalks and street design, promoting pedestrian and better frontages, better crossings, a mix of uses that are closer to the residential neighborhoods around, and of course, making sure that there are transitions in place to protect and respect the single-family neighborhoods that are immediately adjacent to the corridor. Next slide. So another one of the recommendations is to enhance and expand the open spaces in the city. The city of Hialeah is very fortunate that about 68% of the residents live within a 10-minute walk of the park. This is way better than a lot of the cities in South Florida. So, but the problem is that not all routes to the parks are safe. especially for elderly and for kids. One of the proposals is to improve the access to those open spaces. The plan recommends improving access and finding opportunities to also expand the open space network and enhancing the function of the existing parks to better serve the community. Next slide. And so as you can see here in the pink and the yellow, this is there are still some gaps in the city for access to the city. The parks, we drew a 10-minute walk radius around each one of the parks and it kind of shows you, some of the gaps that still are in the city. So incorporating the Hialeah line, incorporating the FPL easement opportunity, expansion of the Timothy Artman Park, for example, can help fill those gaps in the open space network. Next slide. And another one of the important recommendations in the master plan is expanding the range of housing. So as Juan mentioned before, the city's almost built out. So we need to find ways of introducing more housing and while preserving the scale and the character of the city. So the challenge is that 41% of the city is zoned R1. So and the city of Hialeah already has a lot of missing middle housing. The problem is the issues are that the neighborhoods are dominated by cars, with parking taking over the entire front of the properties, taking over the swales, the sidewalks. It makes environments that are not, pleasant to walk because there's no shade, there's no place to walk because you have to go around the cars. So, and a lot of them have been developed without permits, so that might pose safety issues. So how do we find opportunities for more housing and still respect the scale and the character of single-family neighborhoods? Next slide. So that it's missing middle housing. So that missing middle housing is, it often acts like a transition between the lower density single-family houses and mid-rise to high-rise areas. So that includes duplex, triplex, multiplex, and maintaining the lower scale of these neighborhoods. So next slide. So the master plan, we worked with Curren Penabad, which are local architects here in Florida. And they helped us create these pre-reviewed missing middle prototypes that respect the city's current requirements of setbacks, parking requirements. We did not look into any parking reductions for these prototypes, and the prototypes basically show these prototypes are meant to be streamlined so that the review and permitting process is faster because it's already been vetted by the different departments in the city. That lowers the cost for property owners or small developers, and that aligns also with the scale of existing single-family neighborhoods. So it's meant to be rolled out in phases. So the master plan recommends to start with R2 zoning districts, which already allow two units in the same lot. And there's opportunity for different architectural styles, different frontages, different balconies. You can add, it's modular, so you can add more units in the building if it's needed. These prototypes are meant to create community and build community. They're meant to create spaces that in rooms so that the grandmother can sit on the porch and interact with the neighbors, so that the kids can play on the street and not be like trying to go over cars and people driving fast. So one of the main goals in creating these prototypes is to hide parking in the back. And creating those frontages to get to know your neighbors and build community. Next slide. And this is another example. We created a prototype that's inside of a block, and one prototype that's four corners. And next slide. And so the next section is access, transportation, mobility, and connectivity. And I can give it to Jesus. I'll just do a brief introduction to that chapter. So this chapter, the intention is to create a strong and providing increased safety for all modes of transportation, creating a strong bike ped network to improve connectivity, increasing access to reliable transit and to the regional network, and improve first and last mile connections, increasing access to community destinations, and balancing truck activity. So I'll leave it to Jesus Fuentes.
Thank you, Maria. Next slide, please.
Yeah, name and address, please.
Jesus Fuentes, 405 Southwest 13th Terrace, Fort Lauderdale.
Thank you. Mr. Jimenez? He's gonna deal with micromobility issues, your favorite topic.
That's good to know. Thank you.
Yes. Go ahead.
Should I be afraid? Yeah. Next. Next slide. All right. So in this case, we're talking about the multimodal improvements and to coordinated access to transit and to enhance the first and last mile connections to those locations. So where the whole way that we put it together is to propose like future visions for connecting neighborhoods to key places. The idea that we put together is that to make sure that folks can move around the city, one neighborhood to another neighborhood, instead of like using the major thoroughfares that are already congested. Next slide. And then in this case, we're making the case for safer street for folks to be more walkable and bikeable. The idea is that we want to make sure that, again, to preserve that neighborhoody sense, we need to make sure that our area, all the neighborhoods are walkable for all ages and abilities, and make sure that, folks can go to the bodega, folks can go to the store, the corner store, and can have that sense of belonging. Next slide. The idea is to be more connected, more active. We want to make sure that folks in Hialeah have that ability to move around the city without the need of a car. If they don't have the possibility to own a car. In this case, we're going to showcase an example of how it could be. So within the existing right-of-way, you can make utilize the existing space in a much better way. So you can provide access to all the different modes, and folks can have, if you don't have a car, for example, well, would I be able to bike to the bus stop? If I don't have access to a car, can I walk to the bus stop and move around the city? And that's the idea of the core of our whole plan, is giving folks in Hialeah the option to move around the way they want to move around. Next. And you can see here shades and stuff. Next. This is another example how it looks. Oh, sorry. But you can see over here, you have the shade trees, you have lighting, you have shops in the back, and you have bike lanes, in a way to make sure that we activate the city and make it more walkable. A lot of people think that, oh, a bike lane is there, I'm not gonna be able to park my car. And then a customer is a customer, regardless of how that customer comes to you. So that's in our vision, we're thinking that if I want to go to the store walking, I can go to the store walking. We give that freedom to folks to move around the way they want to move around. Next. This is another example of a road that we have right now, the existing conditions. You can see it's not pretty much inviting. Next. As you can see, you can have shade, you can have a lot more, widen the sidewalk. One thing that is very particular of Hialeah is that it's one of the places in Miami-Dade County where you see the old ladies walking without umbrella because it's extremely hot and they cannot walk around. So adding shade to the city streets is a tremendous effort, and it provides that sense of comfort. Oftentimes we see it in a way that it's, oh, I'm from the car, I have the AC, but what about that old lady or an old man? I remember one of the walking audits that we did, it was 104 degrees. There were no trees. We thought that person was going to pass out and we were going to call rescue. and he was going from the Presidente store to his house with groceries. So Hialeah has a significant amount of elderly population. If we don't provide that freedom of movement for them, it's not gonna be easy for them to continue to live in Hialeah.
Yeah, I noticed like in downtown Miami, like the old on Flagler, on West Flagler, that right before you get to Biscayne, the sidewalks are very,
Yes.
very wide and there's shade. So like it could rain and you don't get
Correct.
wet.
That the idea is that to provide ample space for folks to walk around and then also to have shade. Because if you don't have shade, it's extreme, especially now that we're starting the summer. Having that Florida heat, sometimes it's so hot that it's uncomfortable. So if we provide that shade, it's important to provide that shade for folks to move around. Next. And then we looked at where we can have those to make the most impact. And we feel that one of the very first things that we learned from when we talk to folks is that Hialeah, when you ask somebody, where are you from in Hialeah, they tell you from such and such park. It's not that they don't tell you I'm from such neighborhood. No, I'm from such park. So having a safe route to school and parks is extremely important. We thought that this could be an opportunity to improve access in the neighborhoods, to make it more so like little kids can walk to school. I wish I could drive, I could walk my son to school, but it's too far away. So folks in Hialeah can go ahead. Sometimes mothers have to take the bus to take the kids to the school. So our efforts to look into that is to provide that sense of safe routes so kids and parents and the grandparents can walk the kids to school safely. And we selected 3 locations within the city as an example for that. Next. And this is an example of what could happen surrounding the school. You can provide a lot of traffic calming. You can improve the crosswalks and you can provide more, improve the timing of the signalization, provide speed humps along the certain roads to make sure that the vehicular traffic is much calmer. And then kids walking to school feel much safer. And you can do that throughout the entire city and all the different schools that you have. And there are different programs that that we envision as part of our efforts. We envision that the city could go and apply for funding to implement these different types of improvements. Next. And this is an example of what a transformation of existing. This is what we have right now and how it could change. This is West 29th Street, the existing condition. Next slide. You can see that the cars are pretty much in the way of people walking. And that's one thing that we did when we did a walking audit, especially in the area of East 4th Avenue. When we were walking, oftentimes those buildings were built in the 60s and 70s. The cars were much smaller. So nowadays the cars are much bigger. And then when you walk in, you have to oftentimes go into the road and then go back again because the car is blocking the sidewalk. So with the setbacks that my colleague Maria talked about, you can transform the city and you can start proposing little by little. So you can have that. I know that for a lot of people, changes are difficult. So the way that we put it together is to do it little by little. So it could be people adjust to the change and then you can make it much more walkable at the end. So this is a midterm proposal. As you can see, you're starting to put some greenery in the middle. You can widen the sidewalk so folks can walk around much safely. And you can see you don't have the cars blocking that footway. Next.
How does greenery in the middle help?
Because by having trees in the middle, it allows people to go slower on the road. Because if the road doesn't have any impediment, people see it. Typically, a driver see it and then it's like, well, I can go faster. Once you start having crosswalks, once you start having mediums with greenery, with landscape mediums, you can start going slower. And then that's the idea for us, to try to make sure that folks understand that this is a neighborhood road, this is not the speedway. And we want to make sure that's the condition.
Because I noticed on West 8th Avenue, you have those impediments, but then people use that as parking. So then they'll park along that.
In this case, I'm sorry for interrupting, but in this case, it also provides for a turning lane, which 29th right now does not have a turning lane. That creates a lot of conflict.
Right.
And people are using, so in this case, it's a turning lane. So people cannot,
Right. What we call suicide lane, when you have the double turning and people park in the middle.
Right.
Like, yeah. So the idea is that is a good point. So the idea is to put, avoid people from parking there, using that space for something that is much more useful, and only allow folks to turn when they can turn, when it's needed to turn. Yes.
I see, I have an issue with this rendering here,
Mhm.
especially on 29th Street. You're reducing the through lanes to 2 lanes from 4.
Yeah.
Have you been to 29th Street lately and you see the traffic on 29th Street?
a lot of traffic is because there's no turning lane.
It doesn't, I hear you, but your proposal here, for me that I drive down the street every day, we have 2 lanes going east, 2 lanes going west. And they're bumper to bumper. And you're now proposing to do away with 2 lanes. Do you have any idea what that's going to do to the traffic?
It's an option. The thing is that this is mid and long-term solutions. Oh, yes, sorry. It is an option. These are just examples of some solutions. It's not the final by any means. It's just ideas that come along. This is considered a long-term solution for when you have reliable transit in the city as well. So that will also, people will have options for moving around that are not vehicles. So that's, and it's a vision for the next 25 years. So it doesn't mean that it's going to happen today.
I admire your vision. I admire your way of thinking. But for me, I'm a very realist type of an individual.
understand.
Okay. Right now, the city is so crowded with traffic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we
Go
did.
down,
I
go
mean,
down 49th Street.
Yeah.
Go down 29th Street. Go down Palm Avenue.
Yeah.
Lejeune. And you're talking 4-lane roads, even with a turn lane in the center.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. I'm just voicing out my opinion. And I mean, you're making a presentation, and I'm hoping that I can help you out or shine some light onto the subject. Personally, I don't see it reducing it down to 2 lanes. Look what happened to 95. Look what's happened to the Palmetto when they put those high-speed lanes on it, okay? You just made the traffic worse. Okay? So I'm sorry. I didn't mean
Through
to,
the
I didn't mean to
chair.
take.
No,
If I may, through the chair.
Yes.
So I think we're kind of moving past the big picture here, right? And what they're showing you is kind of further down the road, and everybody can get involved into the specifics of the project itself. I think what's in front of you is a more simple resolution that will be passed, that adopts the Hialeah master plan, the 2050 master plan. Either way, we're going to adopt a new master plan, and within that master plan, there's room for work to be done. I don't think that your appetite for
chair.
this
Yes.
is.
And just to add to Alex's point, at the end of the report, you have a set of recommendations and a list of priority projects, okay? And this master plan is going to be presented also to council. And out of that priority list, they're going to select which projects we want to work on it and which projects we want to work and create policy and what to propose for grants that we can look for funding. So this is an example, and that street specifically was selected because it's a local road. We have a little more flexibility than other roads compared to the state or to county roads. So this is just an example, a recommendation. And as I said, this is more not complicated, but more comprehensive than it is. So this is not that tomorrow we're going to start looking at 29th Street and working on it. So this is just a recommendation and that the treatment can be applied to other roads.
Right. We just picked that as an example, but this is what we're trying to convey here is that there's a lot of local roads that perhaps could be changed in that direction. And then this is not a recipe that one fits for all. Every single road needs to be evaluated, and your concern is valid. you know, if this option increases traffic, then this is not the right option for that particular
And
road.
again, not to take the wind off of your sail or burst your bubble or anything. I feel that it is my duty as a board member and as a citizen
Yep.
of the city that have lived here since 1968. Okay. I feel that it's my obligation to bring forth some ideas.
Yep.
You know, my point of view, so that you can bring it back with you.
Yep.
And, you know, cross some T's, dot some I's, and, you know, and I understand that this is more than this is more of a proposal in, you know, what one of the options that you mentioned that could happen in the future.
A recommendation.
A recommendation.
Yep.
But again, and I keep in mind that our population keeps growing daily. Okay. And if we're going to recommend down the road to restrict the flow of traffic,
And
I
through the
won't, you
chair.
know, this is for the 2050. I won't be driving then. So, you know, but anyway, I just wanted to throw that again. Please go ahead and finish your presentation. I didn't want to.
And let me give you an example, and which I'm, you know, when we talk about freight, it's gonna mention that. But like, imagine 20 years ago, we never thought about having robots delivering your goods, and now we have it in downtown Miami. And you had to, if you walk along Flagler, where he's mentioning, you had to fight with a robot because the robot senses you, and you had to move around to make sure that the robot is not, you know. So we cannot foresee the future. We can, you know, I can tell you that even in congested downtown Miami, 20 years ago, we thought that some roads were going to be triple the amount of traffic. And then when you look at the traffic counts right now, the traffic volumes, people are actually not driving because it doesn't make sense to them. So the patterns could change in the future. Right now, your concern is extremely valid.
Thank you.
But we need to look into what's going to happen in the future. And unfortunately, we don't have a magic ball that can foresee that. But what I can tell you is that every single quarter needs to be evaluated specifically for that pattern.
And again, I'm with you on that. I see your point. I hope you see
Yes,
my
we do.
concern, my point. One of the things that's been happening lately here is we've had a boom
Yes.
in construction here. You know, big buildings, you know, multi-family units and all of that. And it has added a lot of, you know, a lot of stress to the traffic. So again, you know, your presentation is going along pretty smooth. I did not want to, you know.
Well, you did, and I think that we're all so passionate that I have to jump in for a second. And I know I'm not going to change your mind, but I would be remiss not to mention, you've been here since 68. Was the traffic this bad on 49th and 68?
I remember the Palmetto was 2 lanes.
Right. Do you remember how bad it was in 68? It wasn't like this. And the problem, and I know I'm not going to change your mind. And I could have this discussion for hours. In fact, if you want to be here afterwards, we can just chat about this for hours because it's our passion. This is what we do. The problem that we're having, not just in Hialeah, but in everywhere, is that we have development pressure. We're growing. We're all growing. There's pressure. You're noticing. I mean, you've got projects coming here, multifamily projects, and you're thinking, how can we fit more people in Hialeah? We've got traffic, you know, that's coming off the seams, right? If we don't begin to balance our rights of way, there's no way that we can fit more cars. You yourself said it, right? 49th, you can't fit more cars. When there's traffic, it's a standstill. So if we don't begin to balance our rights of way to provide alternatives for other kinds of mobility, you're going to have 49th everywhere. You're going to be stuck everywhere. So this is not the perfect solution. This is an example that begins to balance this one right of way as an example for this and other streets. If you do it today, you're going to have a worse problem. I can tell you that for sure. But if you do this in a conscious manner throughout the city, providing alternatives for the way people go to work and for the way people go shopping, then if you do it smartly, you can begin to reduce the congestion that you have in your streets today. And I'll give you one brief example, which I have actually from a charrette, from a workshop in Hialeah. I was chatting with a resident while we were discussing traffic. And I said, and I said, where do you find the biggest problems? And he said, this one intersection. And I said, what's the problem with this intersection? It's like, I can't cross it and I'd have to do it every day. I said, well, tell me what your route is. And he goes, well, I live here and I shop across the street and I take the car to cross the street. And I said, well, have you considered crossing the street on foot? He said, the traffic is so bad, I'm fearful that I might get run over. If we begin to consider these intersections in a way that is safer and more comfortable for pedestrians to actually cross them, you're going to reduce a lot of the car usage and remove the number of cars that go on the streets. Anyway, I could go on forever. I'm telling you, this is my passion. This is our passion. I might not have changed your mind, and that's fine. My point is beginning to balance the way that people move throughout the city, not just here, is the only way that we can grow healthy areas, healthy public spaces. So,
I understand and I appreciate your explanation. And my only ask of you is consider what the alternatives are. Consider the options. Okay. I remember plain as yesterday when there was absolutely nothing west of 12th Avenue. It was only cows and fields and all of that. And look at it now. Okay. So population boom. I mean, we need to consider, and I see what you're saying, rerouting, readjusting, rethinking, re-engineering the traffic. I'm all for progress, but please.
Through the chair, and I just 2 seconds. I'm so glad that we are having this conversation because when I started over here in the city, it was a lot of criticism of the lack of planning. And this is exactly what we're doing. We're planning, we're discussing the issues that we have today. We are foreseeing what it can come in the future. So I'm glad that we have this conversation. So I applaud, everybody's participation here.
Oh, and again, please don't take me wrong. Okay. I just want to give you my opinion as to how I feel. And I'm sure that a lot of the board members here and a lot of the citizens feel the same way or close to it. Let's keep an open mind. All right. And please re-engineer, please rethink what, if it comes down, 20 years down the road, if it comes down to only having 2 lanes because everybody is on little scooters and what have you, it is what it is. But just I feel you. It's an option.
To the chair?
Yes, sir.
This is a transformation for the city of Hialeah. It's something that some people might like, some people might not like. Me and you were kind of old school. We might not like this. This is what I'm seeing. This is the urbanization of Hialeah.
Yes.
Our suburban little homes, they're going to be gone. There's going to be high rises. There's going to be quadruplexes like they want. They want everything medium. Suburban life in South Florida is not going to be the same unless you're going to have a house in Coral Gables or maybe further south by Perrine or something like that. Houses in Hialeah are going to be few and far between now. We're going to have the big buildings. People are going to get rid of their houses. It's all about the transit. It's all about different types of transportation. It's a change that some of us may not be ready for.
It's already happening.
It is happening, and it's for me. It's sad because I like our homes, and I wish we could save them, but it's not going to go that way. We're going to be an urban city with quadruplexes and duplexes, and everybody with their individual house. You could kiss them away because it's going to be just an urban city now. And this is what it turns into. This is urbanizing a city and changing it from what it used to be small family homes like we used to have into just everybody compacted into one area. And let's find different forms of transportation. I'm not against it because change is inevitable and people have to welcome it in. But it's sad. And if you want to live in a house, it's not going to be in Hialeah anymore. You're going to have to find someplace out out of Hialeah if you want a house. If you're gonna live in an apartment or a condo or something, yeah.
Yeah, one, if I may piggyback on you, one of the things that has, presentations has been going pretty smoothly so far. Okay. And I've been taking notes, and it just got to the point where I did have to ask, pause and interject, an opinion. One of the things that you mentioned, as far as we're probably going to get rid of R1s. Okay, like you just mentioned, we're probably going to get rid of R1s in favor of R2s or R3s
That's
or
what's happening.
higher.
If we haven't noticed it, that's
what's
been
happening.
Through the chair.
all this time,
if I
and
may.
I've been arguing this for years.
Yeah, I know.
And it's gonna happen, and we are gonna lose our R1s,
Let-
and it's change, and it's a change that we're going to be an urban city, and it's the fact. I'm not against it because change is inevitable, like I said, and we're old school, and kids nowadays, they don't drive, they want to take Ubers. Forms of transportation are different. They'll use, maybe when we're older and we're not driving, they'll be using little hovercrafts or something, or they're gonna get, flying around in something, or it's gonna be
Just
totally
real
different.
quick,
We're-
I just
Chair,
wanna make sure-
just as a point of clarification, can we go back to the map that it shows the yellow?
Map.
Because we need to clarify the
Yeah,
R1
I just-
component of it.
I just want to make sure that
Yes,
everything's
we'll
clear here.
clarify that.
We do agree things change, but that's the reason why we're doing this project. We're planning that change. And
Yeah.
part of that plan of that change, and just to make it very plain and clear, we're not getting rid of R1s. Maria did not say that, and it's not part of the plan. In fact, the plan foresees the protection of the single family neighborhoods, and that's central to this project. If we did not plan it, not plan it like a planet, if we don't
Yeah.
plan it, those would be at risk. And that's why we were hired to make this plan, to ensure that we knew where to protect those single family
I'm glad you
neighborhoods
say that,
and
because
where
we
to
really need-
develop and change, which I'm sorry, it's on the corridors. Those corridors, that's where the potential development, and we're not talking high rises either. We're talking about 2 and 3 stories that provide potentially some residential on top and some commercial at the bottom that serves those neighborhoods. But in no case, in no way have we said or planned or included in the plan any getting rid of single family or R1. That's not the case. What Maria did mention.
I understood.
What Maria did mention is that in some places where those opportunity areas are, there's areas, especially on the corridors, where you could intensify some of the density into duplexes or quads, but that's not inside of the neighborhoods necessarily, right? And always respecting the scale. If you look at the architecture that was provided by our local architects, who are very sensitive to context, the architecture that we are proposing or that we are putting forth for you to take a look is very much in tune with the type of scale, two-story that exists here in Hialeah. But I just wanted to have the record straight. We are not in any way proposing getting rid of single family. And this is, while this is urbanization, it is a planned urbanization carefully on those places that least affect the neighborhoods and the people that live in their single family dwelling units.
Yeah, I would like to see the urbanization in some of these areas in Hialeah. I would love to see Palm Avenue redone, because
The corridors for sure.
that Palm Avenue, I would level down Palm Avenue and rebuild it, new city hall, new everything. Make it, a way nicer place than what it is right now, because it does need it. We would need, I think that would be fitting for maybe not even quadruplexes, larger apartment buildings, like things that Manny is building. I see those, and I think those are great. And in that type of area is what I would like to see it. And but I'd like to keep, when you go further into Palm Avenue and everything else, those homes that are in that area, I would like to try to save those.
Yeah, and just to clarify, all the areas that are in the yellow, we are not proposing to touch them. We're proposing to preserve them and to respect them. The only areas that we're proposing maybe that possibly those missing middle types are the areas that are highlighted in orange. So the corridors and some areas, some nodes within those intersections of the corridors.
It's just sad for me, because I know there's going to be so many young people who will not know the dream of owning a house because it's going to be further away for people to be able to attain it. I know it's going to be more expensive and even harder. So everybody's going to be renting and renting. And just like Schwab said in his meeting with a World Organization, you will own nothing and you will be happy. And that's what we're heading to for this urbanization of Hialeah.
And through the chair, are we all clear about the yellow color and the single family restriction or protection that is shown in the
I'm
map?
aware, yeah.
Yes, are we clear on that? So I just wanted to make sure.
The yellow is R1s, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Why is like Hialeah Heights? Why is it gray?
It's
If
sad.
they're single family homes. No?
Right, that is another, right, it's another
Is it-
PUD. It's kind of a planned unit development area. It's not R1 per se,
Not protected.
but it's considered, it's considered also the community that's already in place, but are not R1s.
Okay.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you. And again, I do apologize for,
No, it's fine.
throwing a
It's
monkey
like
wrench
you
in there.
said, we're in the planning phase, so
I
we'd
just-
like
yeah.
to hear that.
Please continue with your presentation. It was
Through the chair.
It's very, very entertaining. It's just that it got to the point where I just had to, I just had to throw a couple of things in there.
One last comment. Like I agree with Diego. Kind of like dissuade people from driving. The reality, like here in South Florida, is like you have to drive. I mean, it's so hot outside.
Mhm.
People here in Hialeah are really bad drivers, and it's legit that you don't want to get run over. I mean, I'm open to like actually riding my bicycle over here. But like if it was like a corridor that's safer, like for instance, like Okeechobee Road, maybe along the canal, maybe do a boardwalk or something
There's
that
the
you could
plans
just
for that
ride a
also.
bike all the way. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But not kind of like take away what we already have to dissuade people from driving. Maybe like promote other forms of
Yep,
transportation.
I agree.
Like
Yep.
if it's possible.
And I just want in emphasize when we did the exercises, especially the biking, one thing that was very memorable that I experienced was when we did it in Henry Filer school. And then we provided bicycle for the kids to do bike to school day. And the kids said, like we did it when we were in Cuba, like they cannot do it anymore here. So they were reminiscent of how they used to ride their bikes back home, and they cannot do it anymore. So our idea to preserve the neighborhoods and provide those specific routes for them to actually do that. So we can have a city for all ages and abilities.
And have you thought about maybe closing some roads, maybe on certain days, like on a Sunday?
That would be
having it
fantastic.
closed?
I mean, you remember when we did the bike ride with the kids and
Yeah.
they were like asking for more. And it was,
Yes.
we did it on May 4th and they were asking to do this exercise often. So that could be something that the city could evaluate as well.
Okay, thank you. Please
Sorry.
continue with your presentation. I'm sorry, derailed you, but
Next. So now we're talking about public services, and this is very aligned with the amount of development that is happening in the city. And the idea for this is to fix the drainage and then prevent flooding. There's a lot of flooding happening in Hialeah. We heard that a lot from a lot of the people that we talked to during our public meetings and walking audits and biking audits. We need to also upgrade the old water and sewer system. Hialeah is working towards that. But with the amount of new housing that is coming, Hialeah needs to prepare for more to provide that service that is a par with the other communities. Hialeah also needs to improve fire hydrants. Some of the fire hydrants are old and they need to be improved as well. And then just to make sure that the sidewalks are in good state of repair and they're not cracked and so on and so forth. Next. You can see here areas where you can do sustainable growth and drainage and flood mitigation. And we are proposing, I know that a lot of folks in Hialeah tend to use the swale area for parking. That's something that we experienced when we did our walking audit close to 49th Street, that area. So there are a lot of options. One of them is creating a bioswale. Bioswale is like, imagine if you have a burrito and you wrap it up with rock and then allow the water to percolate. And on top of that, you can plant native trees. So that's something that could, in essence, do two things in one shot. You address the flooding issue, but also you provide some more greenery to the neighborhoods and make it more appealing. Next. And one of the topics that we also looked at is parking. Of course, parking is a pretty important issue throughout the whole entire city. There's a lot of illegal parking. There's a lot of folks, especially in certain corridors, especially close to the industrial areas within the city. They use that for storage of their cars. A lot of body shops, they use the sidewalk and everything as parking locations, impeding the normal traffic flow of folks. I remember one of the audits, we walked from the Metro Rail transfer station to Cush, and we couldn't do it because there's a lot of cars parked in the middle, so we had to always go on the road. And that's something that needs to be addressed. We got a lot of input, and folks in the city want to keep free parking. And that's something that we heard a lot. And then in our plans and in our consideration, that was always made that way. But you also have what the city is developing right now, which is a transit-oriented development, which is the area around the Metro Rail station, which it's now even being promoted on all the Metro Rail stations. You want to live 20 minutes from downtown, move to Hialeah. That's something that the city should be proud of, that now the city is a destination for new families to move. But we need to address those parking issues because you're going to have more people. Where are we going to park? So what we're proposing next is that we need to improve code compliance. We need to make sure that illegal parking is monitored and addressed. That is an issue that is interfering with the use of the public realm in other ways that are meant to be used. You also have to streamline that, the user experience at residential areas. You can, for example, use the parking space for different, what we call curbside management. With the new technology, and this is another example for Mr. Diego, is that new technology that we have now, everything is delivered through DoorDash, Uber Eats, and everything. And doing that specific takes some curbside space. And managing that space is extremely important. So the idea is to find flexible ways in which Hialeah manage that curbside space into allowing parking, but at the same time allowing spaces for delivery of goods, because more and more days everybody is ordering everything online, and then nobody's going to technically to the stores. So that needs to be addressed, and we need to be prepared for that. So Hialeah needs to assign, like you can see in some examples over there, you can assign areas where folks can go and park for delivery or Uber or pickup, like ride sharing. You have to, because the idea is we need to balance the space for parking and also for loading and unloading, delivering goods and stuff like that. And then we also look at different parking management strategies to make sure that the city is prepared for that in case that they want to have a parking authority or some sort of division to manage the parking throughout the city. Next. And then this goes back to instead of putting parking in front, put it in the back of the buildings to allow for people to walk freely. That's something that we saw everywhere we saw in Hialeah. Everywhere we walked, we saw this issue. Often, more than often, we saw cars parked in the middle of the way, and folks were not able to walk. And with the amount of elderly population in this city, it is important that we provide a free footway for them to walk around. So next, and you can scan the QR code.
I just wanted to if you scan the QR code or go to hialeah2050.com, the full documents are available. You will see the public outreach summary. You will be able to see the existing conditions analysis, as well as the 2 documents with the master plan recommendations. these are recommendations for the future of the city. Like we mentioned before, they're options. The master plan, the recommendations on purpose has a list that's empty, like a list with all the recommendations where you and the city and the constituents can prioritize and find what of these goals are implementable for the short, mid, and long term. So feel free to check out the website. You will see all of the information that we've presented here in more detail.
How is this master plan different than our actual master plan?
In what sense? Yes.
Like how does this improve our present master plan? Because I see we have a lot of like variances, constantly asking for variances, et cetera. How does it improve from,
Well,
the
this
vision?
one is the updated one. So this one was done, I mean, all other plans have been done maybe in the last like 5 or 8. The last one for the TODs was done almost 10 years ago. So this one is the most up-to-date master plan, backed up by a lot of public outreach.
And through the chair, so if I understand your question correctly, this is a standalone master plan, and it will assist us and help us to update any of the current zoning codes and policies that we have in place, so we can address those issues, so we don't have as many variances as we typically deal with.
So this is like the mother load. And with this, now you need to update everything else, because this is what dictates now the vision for the city in the next 25 years. And then with this master plan, you need to update the transportation component, update all the different components that make the city what it is, all the different aspects of the city. So, but this is the core, and then it will dictate how the other ones will navigate. And then, like she mentioned, that prioritization table will need to be established with a lot of public input, and then with your input. And then you will decide, well, we feel that because of the budget restriction and then the goals of the city, this is what we can do as a short term. And you can start with that. And then you reassess again and say, well, the city is at this point in time, and then this is what we have accomplished, and this is how the city has changed. Let's reprioritize the items that we haven't completed so far. And then this is a process that you have to do constantly for the next 25 years. This is not the end. I mean, you have to constantly look at your progress and then say, well, this is what we can accomplish next. And then you have to do that often and on to make sure that the vision for the next 25 years is
From your lips to God's ears.
yes.
Through the chair. So I just want to take this moment to thank the team. This has been a 2-year-long process. And as you know, it has been a labor of love from, a lot of people and from the community that they have been involved and everything. And this is, the beginning of a process. Okay. So I appreciate and thank you so much for all your work.
And again, on me personally, on my behalf, please don't take it personal. Don't take it as a beat down. Take it as constructive criticism, if you will. Food for thought. Jot down a few little items that you might want to revisit. Or
If you had no comments, I would assume you don't care.
Right.
So-
see, now you see, there you go. I like that.
So
I like that.
Yeah, so this provides a roadmap. I hate that term, by the way, but this provides a roadmap for you to begin to implement within the next 25 years. And next year may not be the time for 49th. It may take 20 years, but at least you have it on paper, right? And it provides that guide for you to make decisions in the future. So that's the intent of the plan, is to be a tool.
So Hialeah will be better. I mean, even the unprotected area, or
Everything.
great.
I do have one more question. On your presentation there, you mentioned mobility and connectivity.
Yes.
Can you just real briefly, in a few seconds, of connectivity? What are you talking about?
Connectivity is providing the best way to connect one place to another.
Oh,
Oftentimes for example, you could have, let's give you an example. You get off from the metro rail station and then you want to come over here.
I got you. I got
And
you.
then connectivity will mean that your way of getting here is easy and the most safe
Right.
safe to do so. So mobility is having the means of moving, and providing mobility means I can provide you a scooter, I can provide you a freebie, I can provide you a trolley, I can provide you a bus.
Right.
So those are two very distinctive, different, but they're kind of like they intertwine.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I just thought that for a minute there, I was a little gray there where you meant connectivity as in Wi-Fi everywhere and,
It is in the same way, but connectivity works in the sense that you need to be able to get to a place, and if
Okay.
you don't have that path to get to that place, that's you're not connected. So that's what.
Have you
Chair?
thought about connectivity in terms of bridges? Because I know, no, I'm pedestrian bridges, because
Yeah.
I look at the Palmetto on 49th Street. I always see the kids, the high school kids, just walking across, like, there's traffic and the kids, you just see them walking.
Over there by the school and mine.
If you see the detailed 400-page document, there are proposals for bicycle multi-use paths along the canals.
Yeah.
And one of the recommendations is to have a bridge for that multi-use path, to have a bridge that goes over the Palmetto to the
Cool.
other side.
And also maybe from the Westland Mall to like where Winn-Dixie is, like across as well.
And
No.
Okeechobee as well, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, Okeechobee
Yeah.
Road, that is already in the plans for the county. It's a county connector. The
Fantastic.
county has set up a set of different routes throughout the whole county, and then Okeechobee Road is one of those selected for greenways, and it's a county connector, and then it connects to all different routes. The idea of the bridge is an example, but you can have all different ways. You can have underpasses, you can have different types of that. The idea is to overcome a barrier. And then the connectivity is to destroy that barrier and allow people to be able to move in whatever mean or shape or form they decide to move. And that's what we want, Hialeahans to move, have the freedom to move in the way they see fit.
Thank you. Listen, good job. Keep it up. I mean, you're definitely in the right track, on the right path. Couple little stones on the road, but good deal.
All right.
Through the chair.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we need them over there in the annex. We have to break some barriers.
That's the unsafe areas. It's unprotected.
We didn't have a bridge before, and now we have the bridge. That's connectivity right there.
All right.
Yeah.
Any more comments or questions from the board? Okay, before we move on to a vote, I need you to please read the item onto the record because we never did. No, we didn't.
We'll do it just in case.
The actual description, you didn't read it.
The
You just read
title-
item 8, but not.
The title.
Just read it again.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, Item 8, resolution of the mayor and city council of the city of Hialeah, Florida, supporting and adopting the Hialeah 2050
Thank you.
master plan and providing for an effective date.
Okay, well, that's not what I meant. I meant the actual,
You want us to read
yes,
The whole rest?
yes. That was never read.
You want to read it or you want me to read it? Okay. Whereas in 2023, the city of Hialeah launched an ambitious initiative to define a long-term vision for its future through the creation of the Hialeah 2050 master plan. And whereas this effort sets a forward-looking agenda for the next 25 years focused on enhancing liability, infrastructure and livability infrastructure and community well-being across Hialeah's diverse neighborhoods. And whereas this plan aspires to make Hialeah a more vibrant, sustainable, and connected city while preserving the rich cultural identity that defines its past and present. And whereas on June 27th, 2023, City Council approved an invitation to bid ITB to plus Serbia designed as sole source bidder and issued a purchase order for the development of a 25-year vision plan. And whereas the proposed Hialeah 2050 master plan is approved and adopted by the mayor or his designee and the city clerk as attesting witnesses on behalf of the city.
Thank you. Okay, so now that we have all these legal loopholes out of the way, we do need to move on to a vote, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so if there's no more comments or questions from the board, was a pleasure to board.
Second.
Motion to approve by Mr. Iglesias and second by Mr. Santisteban. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Santisteban,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Mason,
He stepped away.
Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
Motion has been approved.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Again, don't give up. Don't give up, okay? Because I won't. Okay, thanks everyone for allowing us to move this item around. As you can see, it was a little lengthy, but it was interesting reading. Okay, thank you. So let's go back to
Item LU.
LU1.
Item LU1, small scale map amendment from low density residential to medium density residential. Property is located at 29 East 16th Street, Hialeah, zoned R2, 1 and 2 family residential districts. The applicant is Manny Reus Architect on behalf of 29 East 16th Street LLC.
Thank you. Please. No, go ahead and identify yourself.
Good evening, Manny Bruce Architect with offices at 18501 Pines Boulevard, Suite 342, Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Thank you, sir.
The applicant is requesting a small-scale map amendment to the city's future land use map to change the designation of the property located at 29 East 16th Street, Hialeah, Florida, from low-density residential to medium-density residential. This land use amendment is being submitted in tandem with a rezoning application requesting a change in zoning from R2, 1 and 2 family residential district to R33 multifamily district to allow for the development of a 3-story, 4-unit multifamily residential building. The subject property is located on the north side of East 16th Street, approximately two lots east of Palm Avenue. While the surrounding properties are currently designated low-density residential, the nearby Palm Avenue corridor, just 1 lot to the west, carries a commercial land use designation. Additional properties located on the west side of Palm Avenue, which mirrors the site in location and scale as shown on the map, land use map below, are designated medium-density residential, consistent with the land use classification being requested in this application. The proposed amendment will provide a logical transition in line intensity between the commercial corridor along Palm Avenue and the lower density residential fabric to the east. The site is also located less than 1 mile, approximately 4 blocks, from the Hialeah Metro Rail Station, promoting a walkable, transit-friendly environment that aligns with the city long-range planning goals and for urban infill and for an expanding of housing typologies. The subject property falls within the service area of Palm Station 54, which is currently in an okay operational status, indicating that the area has the infrastructure capacity to support the proposed increase in residential density without requiring major upgrades or triggering utility service and constraints. School, parks, and police concurrency will be reviewed at site plan, and if any deficiencies are found, mitigation shall be in place prior any redevelopment. In a staff assessment, the proposed amendment is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan, which encourages increased residential density in areas served by transit within walking distance of commercial corridors and supported by existing infrastructure. The request supports the city's goal to promote various housing types, sizes, and costs necessary to support the economic vitality of the area. Recommendation, approval.
Thank you. Mr. Masson, can we get your vote on that previous item, yes or no? Yes, okay. You can go ahead and log it in. Thank you. Manny?
Yes, good evening. I'm glad I followed the planning folks because this is a project, the beginning of the area in the southern part of Hialeah that's going to be changing. We're like 50 feet away east of
That's what you do, man. That's
property. Yes, sir.
That's right there.
And I'm going to make my presentation simple because they made a great presentation that enhances this kind of project that we're trying to do here. We're in an area close to Palm Avenue that supposedly has a lot of duplexes, but everybody knows that there's not necessarily duplexes. There's many units, and we're trying to design something that allows the city to control what densities are really going to be happening on these properties. We're walking distances from mostly the Palm Avenue area, et cetera, and we are requesting some variances. We have 4 2-bedroom units. We have parking sufficient, and we feel very strongly that this is going to be a beautiful project with a proximity to a commercial area. So I'm here requesting that you all consider approving it. And if you have any questions, please advise me at the moment.
Thank you, Manny. Any comments or questions from the board? Anyone in the audience have a comment or question on this item? Anyone on Zoom? Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
To approve. Second that motion.
Okay, Mr. Iglesias? Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mr. Santiesteban?
Yes.
Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Okay, motion has been approved.
Mr. Iglesias, would you mind repeating?
Yes.
Okay, because you did, microphone was off. Thank you.
Through the chair,
Yes.
may I have a suggestion? So this item has a companion item. Do you want? Okay.
Yes, let's
Okay.
hear it.
So item number 3 in the Planning and Zoning Board meeting. Rezoning property from R2 1 and 2 family residential district to R33 multiple family district. Variance permit to allow rear setback of 17 feet where 20 feet are required. Allow interior west side setback of 4.8 feet where 10 feet are required. Allow interior east side setback of 6.5 feet where 10 feet are required. Allow 0 feet drainage separation at the west side of the property where 2 feet drainage separation is required. Allow lot coverage of 45% where 30% is the maximum allowed. Allow 3.2 feet setback from right of way for the dumpster enclosure where 10 feet is required, and to allow 25% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. Property is located at 29 East 16th Street, Hialeah, Zone R2, 1 and 2 family residential district. Applicant Manny Reos, architect, on behalf of 29 East 16th Street LLC.
Thank you. Let the record show that the previous item was land use part of the meeting, and that was concluded. So we're now moving on to regular planning and zoning portion of the meeting. So name and address, please.
Yes, Manny Rose Architect with offices at 18501 Pines Boulevard, Suite 342, Pembroke Pines, Florida.
Thank you.
The applicant is seeking to rezone the property located at 29 East 16th Street from R2, 1 and 2 family residential district to R33 multifamily district to facilitate the development of a 3-story, 4-unit multifamily building. The site area is 6,750 square feet and is currently developed with a 2-story duplex composed of 2 structures constructed in 1935 and 1980 according to Miami-Dade County property appraisal records. The only available microfilms drawing that still exists pertain to the 2-story structure located on the northern portion of the lot. This structure was originally designed with a garage on the first floor and the property legal second unit being on the second floor. However, upon further inspection, additional exterior doors were found in the building, suggesting that the site may now contain more units than originally permitted. No records or permits had been found for any exterior door installation and other modifications made to the property after 1979. Additionally, while the lot is currently zoned for duplex use, it is believed to have a minimum of.
Claudia, I'm sorry. We have an issue, and because we can't start this portion of the meeting without approving the minutes from May 14th, which we have not done. Since we went out of order and did the resolution first, we didn't do that.
Apologies.
That's okay.
Yeah.
None of us realized. So you might should read into the record item number 1, and then we can continue.
Okay, item number 1, approval of Planning and Zoning Board summary agenda of May 14th, 2025 as submitted.
Motion to approve. Second. Second the motion.
Okay, motion to approve. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Santiesteban,
Yes.
Mr. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Mason,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion has been approved.
Thank you, Mr. Law Department, for correcting our little oversight. Please, Claudia.
Oh, so wait, did you should we continue? Or indecision?
Okay.
Yeah, we have to read that into the record.
A written decision and resolution will be prepared and presented for review to the city council. The city council is authorized to affirm with conditions or override the decisions by resolution. After the resolution is adopted, contact the member of the city clerk's office to obtain a copy of the final decision and resolution. Upon your receipt of the final decision and resolution, contact the building department to obtain your required building permit. Summary minutes or a copy of the audio file of the proceedings before the Planning and Zoning Board shall be prepared and submitted to the City Council before its hearing. The Planning and Zoning Board recommendations for the following public hearing request will be heard by the City Council at its scheduled meeting on Tuesday, June 10th, 2025.
Okay, now that we have all the
Everything in place?
all
Okay.
the legal
Okay.
stuff out of the way, please continue.
Additionally, while the lot is currently zoned for duplex, it is believed to have a minimum of 4 operating units, which will be in excess of what is allowed under current zoning designation. Although the property is currently surrounded by on all sided by parcel zones R2, it is located just 2 lots east of Palm Avenue, an active commercial corridor, and 1 lot away from a C1 zone parcel. The commercial corridor includes a mix of small businesses and service-oriented establishments that support a walkable mixed-use neighborhood fabric. The property is also situated less than a mile, approximately 4 blocks from the Hialeah metro station, offering residents convenient access to regional transit and supporting mobility options and a lifestyle that aligns with the city goals for connected urban development. The proposed development will consist of 4 residential units, all with 2 bedrooms, and the height will vary between 2 to 3 stories. All the residential units are developed as 2-story units, providing for spacious lofts between 1,326 to 1,451 square feet of living space. In addition, all units have balconies facing north, east, and south. Notably, the building includes a step down along the northern portion of the lot, minimizing shadow impacts and preserving privacy for adjacent lower density residential use to the north. The project includes 8 surface parking spaces, which satisfy the parking requirements by providing 2 parking spaces per unit, including 1 designated ADA space. Additional surface parking and landscaping will be provided within the front setback, helping to enhance curb appeal and promote walkability with the surrounding neighborhood. Although a formal landscape plan was not submitted at this time, it is expected that the site plan process will comply with all the applicable landscaping requirements, including planting buffers and frontage planting. If not, tree mitigation will be required. The proposed structure demonstrates a commitment to context-sensitive design and urban character. The articulated facade features variation of massing and materials that align with the city evolving design standards. To facilitate the project, the applicant is requesting the following variances: rear setback of 17 feet where 20 feet are required, and interior west side setback of 4.8 feet where 10 feet are required, and interior east side setback of 6.5 feet where 10 feet are required, 0-foot drainage separation on the west side where 2 feet are required, and lot coverage of 44% when 30% is the maximum allowed, and dumpster enclosure setback of 3.2 feet from the right-of-way where 10 feet are required, and 25% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. These variances are typical for urban infill lots that are considered reasonable in light of the lot size, the modest scale of the building, and the project's alignment with the city objectives for neighborhood revitalization and transit supporting housing. Overall, the proposed development presents a well-integrated, walkable, and contextually appropriate infill project that promotes accessibility, housing variety, and architectural quality while reinforcing and evolving the mixed-use character of the surrounding area. In addition to the following conditions are to be considered to support the project: enter into a declaration of restriction stipulating that the development will consist of 4 residential units only to protect the design intent of the 2-story lofts units as described on plans prepared, signed, and sealed by Manny Reos Architecture and Space Planning, dated April 23, 2025. And the project will maintain and protect the existing street trees located on the swell area during construction, and at the site plan will provide for a full landscaping and irrigation plan satisfying the minimum requirement. If not, landscaping mitigation will be calculated. Recommendation: staff recommends approval of the rezoning and variances with conditions.
Thank you. Manny?
Yes, basically, a follow-up of what I said at the beginning on the land use is this is going to be a start point for hopefully the community, and we feel very strongly that this will help change the area and it be controlled by the city as to the number of units that will be allowed. So we feel very comfortable with it. I would love to have your approval on this project. If you have any questions, please inform me.
Thank you. Manny, is it one building or two on this one lot?
One build.
One
Right
building?
now, or it will be?
Well, because I see you have two
No, it's one
sets of
building.
plans there.
It's one building.
Or is this a duplicate?
Set of plans. This is what he brought today.
Okay. So it's a duplicate then. Okay. All right. Thank you. Comments or questions?
To the chair?
Yes, sir.
If you have no, you're not planning on expanding right now, you just want that piece of land? There's like a place with a bunch of mobile homes right next to you. I don't know if you noticed that.
Well, the area,
there,
there's
yeah,
quite a
right.
few.
The building next to you is like, it looks like a mobile home dealership.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Actually, the building to the right of us, which is on the east, it's supposed to be a duplex, and I bet you it's got at least 5 or 6 units.
Yeah, it's
So
like-
that's
well,
why we're trying to control the designs and work with the planning department and the zoning department to do something spectacular and controllable.
Yeah,
That's what
I
we're
was looking
striving.
at what Mr. Mason's looking at, and it's ridiculous. I was wondering how they get those mobile homes. You were saying it's gotta be with a crane or
With a
something.
crane.
That's absurd,
Yes.
ridiculous.
Any more comments or questions? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in Zoom? All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve. Second.
Are there conditions?
With conditions.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve the conditions by Mr. Iglesias and second by Mr. Mason. Mr. Yoa,
Yes.
Mr. Santiesteban,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Mason,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
And Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Thank you. Motion has been approved with conditions.
Thank you. If I may say in closing, we couldn't, as architects, we couldn't get these things done in the city with certain size properties without the help of the planning and zoning department. So that's a must that needs to be on the record, please.
Ooh,
Yes.
a little sugar on top.
Why not? And of course, another one of the
Hey, it doesn't-
beautiful
it doesn't
designs
hurt. It doesn't-
by my beautiful wife. So
You know what? You're right, man. My regards to her. She came through again.
yes, always.
Give her my regards.
Yes. Thank you.
Okay, all right.
Okay, item number 2, closing, vacating, and abandoning for public use a portion of the right-of-way located on Northwest 38th Avenue, Leffer Road, and east of the railroad tracks containing 25,579 square feet, more or less. Applicant Melissa Tapanes Yahuez, Esquire, on behalf of Waste Connections of Florida, Inc.
Good
How you doing,
evening.
stranger?
Excellent. How are you doing?
Good.
My file's so heavy, I almost fell over.
She's so excited to see us again.
I was. Good evening, everyone. Melissa Tapanez with law offices at 200 South Biscayne Boulevard, Miami. I'm here representing Waste Connections along with my co-counsel, Grant Smith, and my colleague, Ben Sherry. We also have our project engineer, Yami Perez. We're excited to present this project to you. But first, the petition in this application seeks the closure, abandonment, and vacation of a portion of the right-of-way located on Northwest 38th Avenue, known as Leffer Road, east of the railroad tracks, containing approximately 25,579 square feet, more or less. The portion of right-of-way proposed for closure, as shown in Exhibit A, is located immediately east of the existing railroad tracks and abuts the unified property owned by Waste Connections of Florida, Inc., which includes several parcels consolidated under one folio. This consolidated property is situated south of Northwest 43rd Street, west of Northwest 37th Court, and north of Northwest 38th Street. The area surrounding the proposed closure is characterized by industrial uses, including vehicles and equipment storage, hauling operations, and waste processing facilities. The right-of-way does not provide access to any separate private properties and is functionally enclosed within the operational footprint of the Waste Connection site. No residential or commercial property directly depends on this portion of the right-of-way for access or circulation. The request is submitted by Waste Connection Florida, Inc. to support the addition of an intermodal rail facility use to their existing legal non-conforming solid waste and recycling transfer operation. The right-of-way closure is necessary to facilitate site improvements that will allow for the expansion and the better integration of uses within the unified property. The portion of right-of-way to be vacated is not utilized by the city and is obstructed by existing railroad tracks and perimeter fencing. It does not provide public access or benefit and has remained inactive for many years. According to the applicant's letter of intent, this request is a critical component in the overall redevelopment of the site into a more efficient and modernized facilities that address long-term needs. The street department has no objections to the proposed right-of-way closure. The applicant has obtained a objection letter from Comcast and AT&T, but is still in the process of securing no objection letters from the following utilities company: City of Hialeah Public Works, Florida City Gas, Florida Power and Lights. And given that the right-of-way lack of public use, its physical encroachment by rail infrastructure, and the benefit of supporting redevelopment efforts that improve the site operation, staff recommends approval of the request to vacate, abandon, and close this portion of Northwest 38th Avenue. The request is recommended for approval, subject to receiving all required no objections letter, confirming that no utilities will be impacted. Recommendations: approval with conditions.
Thank you, Claudia. Alyssa?
Good evening. I'd like to ask to include item number 7. It's a companion item.
Item 7. Is that okay with the board?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, item 7, special use permit, SUP, to allow the operation of a solid waste intermodal rail facility in conjunction with the existing solid waste collection operated by Waste Connections of Florida. Variance permit to allow the expansion of a legal non-conforming use established within the M1 Industrial District, zoning district, and to allow a 6.6% pervious area where 10% is the minimum required. Property is located at 4150 Northwest 37th Court, 4170 Northwest 37th Court, 4180 Northwest 37th Court, 4204 Northwest 37th Court, 3757 Northwest 38th Street, 3828 Northwest 37th Court, 4100 Northwest 37th Court, and 4070 Northwest 37th Court. Zoned M1 Industrial District. Applicant, Melissa Tapanes Yawez, Esquire, on behalf of Waste Connections of Florida, Inc. I'm sorry if I massacred your last name.
No, it's pretty good.
Okay, good.
It's my husband's last name. I only added it for my daughter.
This application pertains to a property located within the following boundaries: Northwest 37th Court to the east, Northwest 38th Street to the south, and CSX Railroad tracks to the west, and Northwest 43rd Street to the north. The property is adjacent to the Tri-Rail Market Station and encompasses approximately 7.12 acres. The property has been developed since 1945 and has been used for industrial purposes. The current land use is classified as industrial, and the zoning designation is M1 Industrial District. Currently, the property is held under a unity of title recorded in Book 33954, pages 4283-4287, according to Miami-Dade County records, and identified by folio number 04-312-0018-0030. Therefore, the request under this application is being made using that address and folio as a unified property. This unified property has a long-standing business history with the city, including a settlement agreement reached out in May 2002 between the city and BF5 Waste System of North America, pursuant to case number 02-1899-CA23 in the Circuit Court of the 11th Judicial Circuit. The settlement addresses the company failures to correct code compliance violations related to property maintenance. Additionally, the unified property has maintained active business tax receipts, BTRs, for solid waste activities, BTR number 56221188 for solid waste collection and disposal, active since 1997, and BTR number 562211B1 for solid waste recycling systems, active since 1989. Although the current uses of the properties are not permitted under the M1 zoning designation, they have been continuously established and maintained, thereby preserving the unified property's legal non-conforming status. The relevant license had been transferred to Waste Connections of Florida, Inc. The recycling and solid waste operations are fully contained within the unified property, and the unified property contains a series of buildings and structures that are part of the submitted package. As per the demolition plans, the open-air recycling structures are to be removed and the new rail transfer facility will be built in its place. The remaining buildings and structures are to stay, and a series of improvements throughout the site are part of the plans. Staff visited the site on March 19, 2025, and observed a series of opportunities to improve the site, including drainage, pavement, landscaping, fences, and etc. Based on the site visit, the building identified as 4070 hosts the most impactful operations. This is where the solid waste disposal occurs and is improved with a sentence misting system that is quite strong. Therefore, proposed conditions are to curtail the strongest smells by increasing the vegetation screening along the unified property, specifically along the entire western property line, using mature trees species that can provide immediate coverage and assist with the visual and other impacts from the operation. This application seeks approval to allow the operation of a new solid waste intermodal rail facility in conjunction with the existing solid waste operation. As such, a special use permit and a variance to expand the legal non-conforming use are being requested. According to the applicant, the recycling operations at this location will cease, and the site will instead focus on solid waste disposal and rail transfer activities. Currently, the solid waste disposal operation processes approximately 6,847 tons of solid waste per week, all of which are transported to the site by truck. Approximately 25% of the loads originated from the city of Hialeah, with the remaining coming from haulers within the Miami area and Miami-Dade County. The new rail transfer operations are proposed to bring by truck to the site tarped full containers that will be sealed on site and carried onto the rail tracks for departure to the landfill. Then empty containers will come back to the unified property. City staff requested the applicant to assess the potential traffic impact of the proposed transfer facility on local streets and the surrounding road network. According to both the applicant and the city traffic consultant, the new rail operation are expected to result in a modest reduction in truck traffic along the truck roads evaluated in the traffic review. And in conjunction, given the negative impacts typically associated with this type of operation, as well as past experiences with previous solid waste providers at this location, and in light of local and regional concerns following the fire and the commissioning of the county resource recovery facility operated by Covanta in February 2023, staff requested a comprehensive set of supporting documents. These documents are included as part of this report. Response dated and titled Responses to Comments, dated April 25, 2025, and Hialeah Campus Operation Plan, and Miami-Dade County and West Connection Agreements, BFI and City of Hialeah Settlement Agreement 2002, and the City Traffic Consultant Study Review dated May 19, 2025. These documents reflect the existing and new operations in detail, from the hours of operation, quantities of solid waste received, process and transfer, employment impacts, maintenance, and the commitment from the applicant and operator to maintain the existing and new operations in an improved state than the existing conditions. As mentioned above, the property is located adjacent to the CSX railroad tracks and the trial rail market station to the west. In 2016, the city adopted an innovative land use plan aimed at increased development entitlements for properties surrounding the market station. This plan established a transit-oriented development TOD district, leveraging proximity to existing transportation infrastructure to encourage higher density and mixed-use development. To date, several TOD projects have been approved and currently under permitting review with the city and external agency. Additionally, to the north and east of the subject property lies an active industrial area that provides employment opportunities for the local community. In alignment with this context, the city's long-term vision has been to support redevelopment opportunities while maintaining commitment to maintaining and enhancing the area industrial character. However, these planning goals often create conflicting priorities. Mixed-use and residential redevelopment projects typically have different expectations and needs compared to industrial uses, which require robust infrastructures to support their operational demands. To mitigate the potential impacts of the proposed expansions of the solid waste operation, both current and future, city staff recommends the following condition. Any substantial increase, 20% or more, of the current weekly solid waste tonnage operation, plus the proposed daily tons per day for the intermodal, will require a revised traffic analysis and operation plan to the city, and increase the landscaping buffering along the west side of the property and modify the proposed west fence for a solid wall similarly to the existing wall to the east side of the property. A counter design from the proposed plans is included as Exhibit A. And seek the potential to permit and construct a rail track pedestrian crossing to facilitate connectivity between the tri-rail station and the subject property. Site visits indicated that there is pedestrian activity crossing that is shown in the conceptual drawing, and submit a progress and maintenance report annually to the City Council every June on all the accepted conditions, improvements, and pending items. The report needs to include any code and/or building and business license violations status, if any. And the city and Waste Connection Facilities or their successors agrees that the party shall consider terminating or modifying the solid waste disposal operations from the Hialeah campus by 2055, or when the Miami-Dade County new waste-to-energy facility becomes operational and solid waste capacity is available, whichever occurs first in time. Recommendation: staff recommends approval with conditions. And I'm sorry if I give you a headache, but it's a long application. There is a lot of issues that they needed to be considered. So I appreciate also the applicant's time to reply and to cover all the issues, the site visits that they prepare. So they have been working diligently with the staff.
Have a drink. You earned it.
Thank you.
Seriously. And the feelings are mutual. Staff has been wonderful. The city has been wonderful. Alexander from the city attorney's office. We had the entire council and mayor and staff come to the site to really get a feel as to what we were doing. So I introduced myself, I introduced our team. So let's get to the presentation. The next slide will show you the property. It's over 7 acres of land located just east of the CSX railroad. You'll see on the west side of the property, the unified site that will be the subject of this discussion today. On the east side, you'll see some lots that have some overflow parking as well as facilities for the operation itself. The property in the next slide, you'll see the land use and zoning as industrial and M1. And then the following slide, you'll see the existing uses. And we think that that's really important. As was mentioned by the director, the next slide shows the fact that the property does have BTRs, first for the administrative building, as well as in the next slide, you'll see that there is also this recycling facility that we will be demolishing and will be the location of the proposed project. Next slide. As the director mentioned, there's a unity of title, and the site is intended to operate as one, especially as it relates to the uses of the site between solid waste transfer and the project that we'll be discussing. So the existing transfer station, the one that we've discussed about solid waste, taking in approximately 25% of City of Hialeah garbage. And as you know, Waste Connections is a City of Hialeah hauler. Will be at the site and will continue. In the next slide, you'll see what that looks like on the southern part of the survey. And then on the next slide, you'll see this existing building, which we'll show you photographs of, that we're completely demolishing, and that is the recycling, the Materials Resource Recovery Center. So that is recycling, and that really is a use that many of you have heard has become quite obsolete. So we will be demolishing that in order to move Hialeah and the community into the future with an intermodal facility. Next slide. And this is a close-up of what that recycling facility looks like, along with the other side that is this area that is a remnant. The structure is a remnant from when the site was a steel fabrication location, and that will also be demolished. And that is, I would say, the view that you get from the Tri-Rail market station that will be demolished altogether. The next slide is part of that recycling sorting operation, which will also be demolished. So our request, as was mentioned, is a special use permit to allow for the intermodal rail facility. The other use is a variance to allow for the expansion of the existing solid waste transfer station. It's already been obviously, it's been allowed and has that grandfathered status, but we want to bring it up to date, so that variance is important. And then the last is the item number 2, which is the right-of-way vacation. Next slide, please. So the proposed site plan is what's before you, and we'll be focusing our conversation on what is the northern side of the site, which is the proposed intermodal facility. That's the new use that we're integrating into the site, a new operation for Waste Connections, really taking the solid waste issue in Miami-Dade County into the future, as most large metropolitan areas do, which is by rail to landfills elsewhere in the state of Florida. So I have slides that will show you the actual off-site operations for this use, as well as the on-site operations. But I know that we had a very long first item, and we have others. So I want to just go to the next slide so that you can see the main point. And of course, I can use these slides and answer as many questions as you would like. But the idea is that we are going to be taking containers on truck, be brought to this existing facility using updated railroad spurs, and transferring by rail solid waste to the heart of Florida landfill in central North Florida area. So that's the gist of this application. Are you interested in seeing the how it all works? It'll probably take 5-10 minutes of your time. Next slide then. So the first step is for the actual empty lidded containers to be removed from rail every morning. Next slide. Thereafter, it's brought from the county waste transfer facilities with the full tarped containers, and immediately placed with a lid prior to getting to the actual railroad. Next slide. So those empty sealed containers are then picked up by trucks and unlidded before the trucks leave the facility. So that's how they come in. At the end of the day, the rail cars containing the full lidded containers are transported to, as I mentioned, the How to Florida landfill. And then, of course, these containers are emptied, cleaned, and relidded, and then placed back on the rail cars and sent back to the Waste the Waste Connections campus at Hialeah each morning. And then internally, we also have an operations plan, and this is described in the many documents submitted. But this is basically that area of the site that we pointed to. So when you go to the next slide, you'll see that the first step is the intermodal spotter station. And the next slide shows you what a photograph of that looks like. You can imagine trucks coming in the mornings, and the spotter leading them through the process on site. The next stop is the actual trucks entering the site with the tarped full containers. And you can see a picture of that as it is today. Today they come in tarped as well for the existing solid waste transfer station. Next slide. Immediately upon entering, the container tarps are removed and the containers are sealed with lids. You'll see a photograph in the next slide as to what that looks like. And next slide, it'll show the lidding platform and how it is used to actually lid these seal-proof and spoil-proof containers. Next slide. And these are additional photographs of how it looks like. And then the next slide will show how it is, they're removed as well when they come back from the landfill. So the next step is to be placed in the container staging area after they're placed on the rail cars. And that this is a photograph of what that will look like. Next slide is the unlidding area. And that is where the sealed full containers are stored awaiting the departing rail car every evening or night. Next slide. So in this case, the containers are placed, unsealed, and tarped, and then the trucks depart with an empty, clean container back to the Miami-Dade County facilities to do the whole cycle all over again. And of course, the railroad takes the full sealed containers transported to the landfill as well. So this is kind of like the life cycle of what that looks like. And of course, the railroad is today in operation, will continue to operate the Tri-Rail during the day, and these operations are in the evening. Next slide. So we've also provided for the exit. And you'll see it'll look very similar to what it looks like today on the way out and the way in, because that's how they're tarped, both in and out. So we're not proposing any actual structures to the site, just a number of actual equipment, including rail cars, rail containers, reach stackers, truck chassis, this lidding and delidding of the containers, the container loading area, as well as the rail car mover. So they're all industrial type of vehicles that will assist us with these operations. Next slide. So these are photographs, and you could go through these rather quickly. Thank you. To just show the photographs of what the actual equipment on site will look, but otherwise it is an open site with the exception of the buildings that are there today and intended to remain. We're also proposing on-site improvements, inclusive of course, landscape open space. The site is well under landscape today. We're increasing that to 6.6%. And as the director mentioned, we're working on conditions in order to add landscaping to the site as well. Next slide. So this is the on-site, the views as they are today from the Tri-Rail market station. And the next slide will show what it'll look like in the future with the proposed fence that's anti-graffiti, et cetera, as well as updated landscaping. Same thing on 38th Avenue, that's the existing, and we'll be adding street trees, et cetera, to that street frontage. In the mobility study, as the director mentioned, it provides for a reduction of parking spaces, of actual traffic. You can imagine there's less trucks coming in and out. Before, there were trucks coming in and out showing the recycling and materials. Those trucks are only coming in and the railroad is taking them out. So it really adds to for less traffic on site, which is always a good thing. Most importantly, less trucks overall in the city of Hialeah as this use goes to rail. So we have that mobility study with on-site circulation to make sure everything works well along with our mobility plan. We have also worked with the city in providing truck route plans throughout the city to avoid any residential streets, et cetera. And then, of course, we have a maintenance plan that we're working on as a condition to approval as well. Next slide. And as part of the conditions and the special use, there will be a declaration of restrictions. This is a good point to speak about the director's conditions. And please, Ms. Hasbin, feel free to interrupt me, but we did receive these proposed conditions yesterday. We went through them with the director briefly. We will be making some changes to these conditions. Many of them are aspirational in nature, and we appreciate that wording because it allows us to go into this crafting the kind of conditions that could be maintained in the long run. So we'll be working with, of course, Ms. Hasbin as well as Mr. Magriso as we move forward to the city council next month on those conditions. And the next slide will show the right-of-way vacation of a portion of Northwest 38th Avenue. It does not exist today. It is abutting the site and the CSX Railroad. Today, it's used for a lot of storage along the main entrance, which is an abutting property owner, not within our site. So it's time to actually vacate the right-of-way, and we're hopeful to utilize this area for additional beautification, in addition to creating those rail spurs or updating those rail spurs because they exist today, but updating them so they're more manageable. So that's that for our presentation, and of course, we're available for any questions that you may have.
Okay, so I do have a couple questions. The trucks will be bringing in the trash, garbage, if you will,
Correct.
in those containers
In the intermodal facility, correct.
with a tarp.
Correct.
Okay. Like your average
Like every,
dumpster, they have the mesh that they automatically put over. Okay.
correct. The difference here is as soon as it enters the site, we will be lidding it. So it complies with all railroad regulations. They're seal-proof lids. And in fact, we had the inventor attend the actual meetings that we had on site with the city council and the administration so that they asked all the technical type of questions for those containers because they're intended to be seal-proof. And there's actually no way to open them outside of the facility. So it's something that for safety is very important to us.
Okay, so you bring them in, you unload them from the truck, you seal them up, and you load them onto the train.
Correct. Onto rail cars,
Rail
and then the
cars,
rail
correct.
cars connect to the train.
Correct. Sealed.
Correct.
Every day or every other day the train leaves?
Every day the train leaves.
Okay, so because my
7
question,
days a week.
because
Absolutely.
my question revolves around they happen to sit there and they start smelling.
Of course. So they're seal-proof, odor-proof because it's modern technology. In fact, it's the same technology New York City uses through their solid waste system that uses barges on the Hudson River. So it's the latest technology and the first time it's used in Miami-Dade County, in fact.
Okay.
So the actual railroad works every night as it does today. So it'll just be one more stop on its way.
Good.
Nobody wants landfills and nobody wants incinerators either, apparently. So the way to deal with our trash, which we all have a lot of trash, a lot of Amazon boxes, is to send them elsewhere. And there's other communities that are happy to take it.
Yeah. Okay. Comments or questions?
Through the chair.
Yes.
I have a question. One of the conditions says submit a progress and maintenance report annually to city council every June on all conditions, etc. Is this, I've never seen this before. Is this like a new requirement or is this only for them?
this is specifically for this application. It's in light of the history of the site because they had a settlement agreement with, of course, the previous provider of it. So we just need to make sure that what they're proffering and what the standards that we want to be seen are maintained throughout time.
I just wanted to know if this is gonna be like a new trend or is this just for them?
This is just,
them.
these are particular to this application.
Got it.
Yeah, so if I may, through the chair, I think that we're going to be agreeing because it's a special use. It's going to have a declaration of restrictions. We know that we need to obtain business tax receipts every year, which we do. That's what continues to have the use as legally non-conforming. That's very important. So I see this as a way to ensure accountability from both the city as well as Waste Connections in complying with these conditions. The issue is the conditions, so you'll read them, and Ms. Hasbin wrote them in a way to be open to discussion, negotiation as we move forward with this process. So that's what we'll be doing. And my goal, as we discussed today, is to create a form, an annual report form that has all the information the city expects, so that it's something that is simplified as part of the Waste Connections operations to do annually before their business tax receipt.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so is this waste Hialeah or countywide or?
It's both. The waste transfer facility has about 25% of Hialeah waste, and the intermodal is from Miami-Dade County. So the trash, Hialeah doesn't have a landfill, for example, so it goes through the Miami-Dade County system, ends up here, and then leaves.
Okay.
So it's basically helping. The reason why this should matter to all of us, and the reason why, although waste isn't the sexiest project I've brought before you, it really is incredibly important to the future of Miami-Dade County. Something that is the reason why it's important to me is because if we do not have solid waste concurrency in Hialeah or any of the other 33 municipalities or Miami-Dade County, we're in a countywide moratorium, meaning no new businesses, no new permits, no new anything. So it's really something that is important. And I think that's why we're all working together in a very collaborative fashion to make sure that this industrial area, which has been an issue for the city of Hialeah for decades, and when we worked together on the 2016 TOD area, we knew that this was going to need to, industrial had to get better, as did the mixed use communities as they come about. So it's a way of bringing Hialeah forward, and especially that industrial area.
Okay, so this is proposed to be a transfer location.
It
comes in prepackaged and it goes on to the rail cars. There's no loose garbage or loose trash around in this particular location, as it was with the recycling.
Correct. So today there is a existing solid waste transfer station that we walk through, and that's what was part of the recommendation, because that's plain trash, etc. What we're doing, getting rid of altogether, is the recycling. So that was another materials resource recovery station with sorting, and that was. In the pictures, you'll see that we believe that was a location where there was significant contamination of producibles, meaning smelly things. And we don't do a very good job of recycling here in Miami-Dade County. I include myself, although I do recycle, the level of detail to make sure that there's no cross-contamination, like who takes away like the labels from their Amazon boxes, as an example. That is something that is a cross-contamination. So what's on the ground all the time and what people have to physically sort in the material recovery facility is the actual trash and sort what can be recycled. So that's a lot of activity, to your point. That is all doing away, and now it's all on containers, tarped, then lidded, and then sent away.
Okay, one last question from me. So your daily trash pickup down the street, house to house, picking it up, dumping it in the truck. When the truck is full, where do they empty that truck? In this location or somewhere else?
Yes, and in other locations as well. So other cities take your trash. It's just all about operations.
So
this facility at the solid waste transfer facility, the one that is to remain, takes on 25% of your trash
In this location.
in this location.
Okay, so Johnny's truck is full. He comes in there, he dumps it in this location. They pick it up with the front loaders, dump it into this container, seal it, and then off it goes.
Correct.
A percentage of it.
In the solid waste transfer facility, yes. But that's separate from the intermodal of the rail cars, which we're introducing.
So it still leaves a chance for, again, contamination, smelly, and
Not in,
because you do have live trash.
that's in the existing solid waste transfer facility. That's what's there today. What we're doing away with is the recycling trash facility, and we're replacing it with containers. So it's a significant reduction of what is out and about. And again, yes, yeah.
To the chair?
Yeah,
Yes,
we're
sir.
not filling the containers we're not filling the containers on site. Those are being filled up at a Miami-Dade County landfill
Well,
or facility.
that was my question. That's what
Yeah, I'm
you led
sorry,
me
I
to
didn't-
believe that. Thank you. You led
Yes.
me to believe that.
Thank you.
I said you're.
It's good, right?
Mystery man.
He caught on to it. Your average garbage pickup, home to home. When they're full, they have to dump somewhere so they can come back to the route. Now that truck is going to empty. It's not going to empty here.
Not at the intermodal facility, no. That is next door.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
emptying it next door, okay.
It's existing. That is existing. And it's not Johnny, it's like Waste Connections Hialeah trucks.
Okay.
In the recycling, we had Johnny and Joe and everybody else in different trucks, but that is being eliminated, and that's why there's a reduction of trips.
Johnny Mac by the railroad track.
Yeah.
All right. Any more
Madam Chair?
comments? Yes. Sir.
So you are gonna be emptying out the garbage trucks next door?
That garbage it's not what we will be doing, it's what's happening today.
It's.
That is happening
I
today.
used to work there a long time ago when it was industrial waste services, so.
Yeah.
I'm familiar with it.
So one building, the solid waste transfer station, that will continue. What we're doing away with is the material resource recovery and the sorting operation. All the
Okay,
recycling
perfect.
is being demolished. All those structures are demolished, and now it's going
The
to.
smell's not gonna go away. For a while.
What we think is that the solid waste transfer facility has those misters that give it that citrus smell, so that smell won't go away. What will go away is any odor associated with the recycling facility,
Now,
which is contaminated.
One last question. I heard you say something until the other facility is built, so this is only gonna be temporary, and then it might go away, hopefully.
Our request, that condition is actually to evaluate in 2055, which is the day where the Miami-Dade County and Waste Connections, they have their agreement. So it's for us as a city to reevaluate the situation, new technologies that are in place, everything that is going on in that site, it can be brought back, and we can figure it out if that is the need still for that operation on that site.
So this is gonna be allowed until 2055.
That is, at the moment that it's going to be approved and then reevaluated back then. So it doesn't have an ending date. So it's not like in 2055, they're going to end per se. They're going to have reevaluated.
What we're working on together is the idea that obviously this is a grandfathered use. It's an existing business. It has its property rights. It has its licensing rights. What happens in 2055 is today Waste Connections has an agreement with Miami-Dade County for the actual intermodal facility, those agreements. So depending on what those agreements are between now and 2055 or thereafter, it's how this operation will change. So the goal of the condition is for Hialeah to continue to be a partner in that discussion as the municipality in charge. So
I have two concerns. We're building apartment buildings in that area already, okay? Second of all, that mist smell that I sell chemicals, and if you read the back of those labels, if you inhale that smell a lot, that's a cancer-causing agent. it says it on the labels on these air fresheners, the ones that they put on the bathrooms. If you smell them a lot, and that's a kind of chemical that it's made out of. It's terrible chemical. It works, it kills the smell, but you're also giving cancer to the area. And people are building apartment buildings there, and those misters are to kill the smell. I'd rather smell the garbage than inhale the cancer causing agent, to be honest with you.
So I don't believe they're cancer agents, just like, I mean, if you're gonna say that the oil put it.
The cans, if you inhale it, this is not for like, you these little cans that they put in the bathroom in public areas, or those air fresheners or odor eliminators are better calls. They're not for your home. These are for like industrial areas, like you say. If you read the back of the label, it says cancer causing. And for Ecolab, we have it. And it says it on the back of the can, because I was gonna put it in my house. Then when I read the can, I said, I don't want this anywhere near my house, and I took it out. But next time meeting, I'll bring one of the cans so you guys can see it. But yeah, that odor eliminating agent is a cause for concern for me, and maybe it's something that we should look into, because if we're gonna have people living in that area, inhaling the lemony fresh scent that is obviously might even kill them is a concern to me.
To the chair, so of course, this is not to eliminate the smell and the odors, but is to reduce it. That's why we are requesting also in one of the conditions is to increase and improve and provide for more vegetation, especially through that west elevation. But I repeat, it's going to be a reduction of it. It's not going to be an elimination.
An ample supply of fabuloso.
Yeah,
I'm sure that gives cancer too. If we're gonna talk about like everything, you know, every
They
chemical.
already said it that it's
Yeah.
the smell is also cancer causing.
Yeah.
It's
They think quantities, et cetera, is all.
But if you're living next to it and
Yeah.
the quantities, you're still gonna inhale that cancer causing agent.
I do think it's required by part of the county permitting and the federal permitting, so I don't think it's something.
Building was gonna go away, that's fine.
Okay, anyone else?
I don't know what to say about this.
Anyone in the audience? Anyone in Zoom? Are they still there? Resilient. Okay, what's the pleasure of the board?
So we're voting on two items. Well, we're going voting on the closure first. So
Well, she basically had a presentation on number 7.
Well, it was to hear item 2 and to hear item 7 concurrently, but they are two separate items that you would have to vote for. What I would say is that you should probably vote for item 7 first,
Right.
because it would be contingent on your vote on items. Your vote on item 7 would probably determine your vote on item 2. If item 7 were not to pass,
Thanks.
would you still request the passing of item 2?
Of course, yeah. I mean, it's already vacant. I mean, it's already closed.
So
So
then
it's just-
at her request, you can vote for either of them separately.
Yeah, you spent the most time on item 7, so.
Yeah,
So-
to show you what the plan looks like.
So
for
then
that.
we'll go in order since she would request a vote on both either way. So we can start with a vote on item 2.
Motion to approve item 2.
Second.
okay, motion to approve item 2 by Mr. Jimenez
Did I?
and second by Mr. Mason. Mr. Mason,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mr. Santisteban,
No.
Okay, before we go any further, item 2 had conditions.
yes. Motion to approve with conditions.
Okay.
That's what we're voting on. Mr. Santisteban,
No.
no. Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
The item 2 is the closure.
the closure.
Oh, the closure, can I
Closure, yeah, well,
yeah, can I redact my vote, like, and yes, on the closure?
And Mr. Perez?
Yes.
Okay, item has been approved with
Sorry, I was
conditions.
confused.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I know.
So now you'll be voting on item 7, which is for the project itself, for the SUP and the variance.
This is the one that you motioned, Eddie.
And if I may, just regarding the odor, again, those misters are in the existing facility. There, we're not proposing any misters in the new facility. There's no odor. They're in containers. Just to be clear for the record.
So there's no misters in there.
No,
You're gonna get rid of the.
there is no mist. Yeah, we're getting rid of the building with the recycling. It might have had misters, but it's gonna be gone and there's no buildings there. It's all going to be, there's no buildings, no misters. It's all.
We put a note in here saying that they, with a condition to, that there won't be any misters in there?
In the intermodal
In-
facility, we would accept that condition.
In the intermodal, so in the new, because there is no buildings, are you referring to the existing building?
Is it building?
Correct, exactly.
The new building.
There's
There's no new
building,
buildings.
so.
It's going to be a new operation.
Correct.
Yes, we can address that. Mhm.
See that?
Yeah, there will be no misters. in
No
that.
additional misters throughout the property besides, beyond the existing ones. Okay.
Thank you.
Motion to approve.
Second that motion
Conditions. With conditions.
with conditions.
To be modified.
There you go.
Okay,
In
this-
coordination with.
This is
you
for
go.
7, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
For 7, all right.
Okay, so motion to approve with conditions by Mr. Ulloa and second by Mr. Iglesias. Mr. Iglesias,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Santiesteban,
No.
Mr. Perez.
Yes.
Mr. Mason.
Yes.
Item has been approved with conditions.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
So a lot of fabuloso and Listerine, right?
Okay, item 4, variance permit to allow a lot width of 50 feet where 75 feet is the minimum required. Allow a total lot area of 4,400 square feet where 7,500 square feet is the minimum required. Allow one of the parking spaces to be located at the front setback where parking in the front setback is not allowed. Allow a 2.6 feet landscape buffer where minimum of 7 feet is required, and allow 18% pervious area where 20% is the minimum required. Property is located at 520 East 49th Street, Hialeah, zoned RO Residential Office District. Applicant is Frank de la Paz on behalf of Arno J. Lemus Jr.
You have the honors of identifying yourself, but
Good evening, Frank de la Paz, 11,000 Southwest 104th Street, on behalf of the applicant with a $100 pay fee to the city of Hialeah as a lobbyist.
thank you.
Finally did it, Frank.
This property is located on the south side of 49th Street between East 5th Avenue and East 6th Avenue. The land was originally platted in 1925 as a 40-foot wide lot and has been developed as a one-story single-family home since 1948, according to Miami-Dade County records. In 1989, the property was rezoned from R1 to RO under City Ordinance number 89-99 and included several variances related to parking and setback reductions. As noted, the current land use designation for the property is residential office, consistent with the adjacent properties along 49th Street. The zoning classifications is also residential office district, RO, which is compatible. However, both this property and the adjacent lot to the west are still being used for residential purposes. Since the land has already been platted, the alley vacated, the right-of-way has been granted, the lot is considered a legal non-conforming parcel. The current variance request seeks to maintain the lot as a 50-foot wide parcel with a total area of 6,400 square feet. This application proposes to convert and modify the existing structure from residential use to a residential office to support commercial services. The submitted plans include a request to accommodate one handicap accessible parking space in the front yard and 5 parking spaces in the rear yard. Although the zoning code requires 9 parking spaces, ordinance number 89-99 permits a reduction to 6 parking spaces. Therefore, the variance pertains specifically to allowing the handicap space in the front yard. Additionally, the proposal includes demolition of a rear section of the building to allow for vehicular access to the rear parking area. The site plan also provides for an improved landscaping throughout the lot. However, despite these enhancements, the proposal still requires a variance to reduce the required pervious area to 18% of the site and provides only a 2.6-foot landscaping buffer at the front, below the standard requirements. There is a note to this application. This proposal requires a variance to permit the width of the proposed two-way driveway. Therefore, it will be legally noticed and presented subsequently to this application. Since the proposed use aligns with the existing land use and zoning designations and the plans prepared by Rosario Montero PE and dated May 27, 2025, demonstrate overall a site improvement, staff recommends approval with the condition to ensure the long-term maintenance and intent of the proposal. The applicant must submit a landscaping and irrigation plans that meet the city minimum's landscaping requirement. If the minimum requirements are not met, landscaping mitigation shall be required. Recommendation, staff recommends approval for the variance with conditions.
Thank you, Claudia. Frank?
Good evening. We agree with the staff recommendations and the conditions. As I stated, this was a one-time a residential office. He fell into disrepair and he has been recently purchased by a young attorney that is going to have his own little practice there. We are currently trying to incorporate the property to the east, which also, to the west, which is also residential office, into coming to the fold and have a much bigger project in the future. But right now, this is all that we have, and I'm looking forward to a recommendation of approval.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions from the board?
For the chair.
Yes, sir.
Frank, this is very refreshing to see an attorney opening an office because it's always medical clinics. So this is very good. I like that.
Yes, unfortunately, he's having a very hard time getting clients because he specializes in immigration, but they're running away from him. But yes, it is. It's
We'll make sure not to tell ICE, okay?
yeah, no, definitely. But it is refreshing that he decided to do his own practice here in Hialeah.
And I like it that you have the parking in the back, commensurate
Well,
with the new master
the
plan.
parking was in the back, but just a little history. Many years ago, we closed the alleys and then we opened them and closed them again, especially on 49th Street and West 4th Avenue. And the entrance from the rear is no longer desirable. So we're working on the entrance some other way to the rear. That's why we're demolishing half of the house to be able to have a viable project.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone in the audience have a comment or question? What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve a fellow colleague.
Wait a minute, the one, is there anyone in Zoom for this item? No?
Second.
Okay. Okay, we have I'm sorry, we have a motion by,
Motion to approve with conditions by Mr. Jimenez and second by Mr. Iglesias.
okay, thank you.
And Mr. Casanova.
And Mr. Santiesteban. I'm sorry. Mr. Santiesteban,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Mason,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Thank you.
See, Frank,
Item has been approved with
good things
conditions.
come to those who wait, even though you have to pay $100.
Thank you much.
Item number 5, conditional use permit, CUP, to allow a kindergarten class with a maximum capacity of 26 students. Property is located at 3300 East 4th Avenue, Units 9 and 10, Hialeah zoned C2, Liberal Retail Commercial District. Applicant Al Cruz on behalf of Curious Minds Learning Center Corp.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, honorable members, city staff. Al Cruz, 16251 Southwest 81st Street.
Thank you.
This property is located on the northwest corner of the intersection of East 4th Avenue and 33th Street. The property has been developed with 2 detached one-story structures operating as a shopping center with approximately 7,350 square feet of commercial area since 1985, according to county and city records. There are currently no code, building, or fire violations in this property. The request of this application is applicable to units 9 and 10 only of the shopping center. In addition, there is currently operating a daycare within the standalone section of the shopping center, so the daycare's operation is to be maintained but completely independent from the educational operation. The applicant is requesting to allow kindergarten classes within units 9 and 10 and the shopping center with a maximum capacity of 26 students. Plans provided also show an area being developed as an outdoor playground, and this area shall be protected with bollards, especially towards the area with proximity to the parking lot. The operation of the educational component shall be maintained as a kindergarten only, with no more than 26 students, since the parking area does not provide for an improved drop-off and pickup area in the case of an increased student population. In addition, even though this is a standalone section of the shopping center, it still shares a parking lot area with the commercial section of the shopping center. There is a supermarket with an active BTR, and an inspection reveal a sign for a smoke shop. However, no building permit or BTR for a smoke shop were found on city records. Therefore, there is not legal smoke shops within the vicinity of the proposed school, and a code case has been requested for the sign without building permits, and a notification has been sent to BTR division for a possible operation of an unlicensed smoke shop at the location. Staff has the following conditions to the requested application: submit building permits for a change of use according to plans submitted and not later than 3 months from approval, and enter into a declaration of restrictions prior to second reading of this ordinance that restrict the maximum capacity of to 26 school children in kindergarten only at unit 9 and 10 of the shopping center. Recommendation: staff recommends approval of the CUP with conditions.
Thank you.
Mr. Chair, again, my name is Al Cruz. I'm a retired fire chief from Miami-Dade after 35 years and decided to continue my service in the community. And I'm helping the owner of Curious Minds, who has a daycare right now, but her kids are growing and she wishes to maintain them at the age of kindergartner. In order to receive the funding from the state, I have to go through the conditional use permit. I have a very brief presentation that probably shouldn't be more than 5 to 7 minutes, if I may. Thank you, Ms. Oliva. As you can see, this place is in the northwest corner of a small shopping center between 33rd and 4th Avenue. Next slide. Next one. Predominantly, as you can see, there's a commercial area, but the shopping center is the portion in red with the little red mark on, the green pointer there. Next slide. This is the site plan. We have adequate parking for the amount of children that staff is recommending, and we're in full support of that. Next slide. Also, the life safety plan. I know normally you see a floor plan, but being a firefighter and a certified inspector, I felt it was important for you to know that we feel that this place is more than adequate to house the amount of children, and it's properly maintained right now up to educational level. So once we get a recommendation of approval from you all, we continue, we can keep this educational facility. Next slide. As you can see, it has 4 designated spots. 2 of them are specifically for drop off and pickup. And there's plenty of parking as well. Last slide. This is just a simple a blueprint of the education that's taking place right now in Curious Minds, and I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any comments or questions from the board?
To the chair.
Yes.
We're gonna stop doing classrooms in shopping centers? I thought.
Yes, we have a limitation of it, but this is basically a standalone within the shopping center. They have 2 separate buildings. So they have the daycare on one side and the school will be on the other side.
Okay, so it's in a shopping center, but it's no longer a shopping center.
It's
It's a
independent.
school designated for itself.
Yep.
Okay.
How long has it been operation?
I'm sorry?
How long has the school been operating?
Since 2020.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Anyone in the audience? Anyone in Zoom? All right, what's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve
Second that motion.
Okay, motion to approve
with conditions.
with condition
Conditions.
by Mr. Iglesias and second by Mr. Jimenez.
It's the other way around. The other way around, but
It's fine.
It's late.
Half
Mr.
a,
Perez?
six one way, half a dozen the other. Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias?
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez?
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa?
Yes.
Mr. Santisteban?
Yes, very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Item approved with
Chair.
conditions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Great job with your presentation.
Item 6, special use permit, SUP, to allow the expansion of the neighborhood business district NBD overlay in relation to a proposed mixed-use development, including 32 residential units and approximately 3,520 square feet of commercial space. Variance permit to allow 56 parking spaces where 77 parking spaces are required. Allow 21% pervious area where 30% is the minimum required. And variance to allow partial waiver of minimum landscape requirements through landscape mitigation as per section 98-2235. Property is located at 901 East Second Avenue and 925 East Second Avenue, Hialeah, zoned CR, Commercial Residential District, applicant Edna Morales Rodriguez as general partner of the Rodriguez Family LLLP and Enrique Rodriguez.
Thank you. Name and address, please.
My name is Edna Morales Rodriguez, residence at 901 East Second Avenue, and I am the general partner of the Rodriguez Family LLLP, who are the owners of both these properties.
Thank you. Let her read it into the record and then you can sit down if you want, if you need to. She's gonna read it in and then we'll talk about it.
Oh, she's gonna read in the whole report?
Yeah, she's gonna read it in.
These properties are adjacent to each other and both are currently developed. 901 East Second Avenue is the corner lot between East 9th Street and East 2nd Avenue. The lot is approximately 6,750 square feet, and city records indicate 5 residential units and a commercial space has been approved over the years. The lot is a narrow one running east and west with a frontage of 45 feet towards East 2nd Avenue. So it is difficult to redevelop if it stands on its own. The adjacent north lot, known as 925 East 2nd Avenue, is approximately 13,500 square feet. City records indicates the property was developed as a single-family structure with a detached garage approved in 1950. Even though developed differently, both properties share the same central business district land use designation and the same zoning of CR, commercial residential. These properties are located at the northern boundary of the Hialeah Downtown Urban Center District, HUDAC. This application proposes assembling the lots to develop a unified project under regulations of the neighborhood business district. Therefore, the applicant is requested to extend the NBD overlay through a special use permit, SUP. The assemblage will create a 20,250 square foot lot with frontage to East 9th Street with an average daily traffic of 19,300 vehicles, average daily traffic according to FDOT records. The proposal is for a 7-story mixed-use building with 3,600 square feet approximately of commercial ground level with parking in the rear, 2 additional parking levels, and 32 residential units from the 4th to the 7th level. Residential units ranging from 1,000 square feet to 1,290 square feet, varying from 1 to 2 bedroom units are provided. The ground level is proposing an active commercial liner and a mural at the west elevation. The building placement is toward East 9th Street and the East 2nd Avenue, providing all setbacks to the rear and east side, especially since the properties to the north is zoned and developed as R2. It is required a CBS wall be built along the north side setback and a landscaping buffer. It's provided for privacy to the north residential properties. Access to the parking areas are along East 2nd Avenue with access to the ground parking level, which is proposed to have 16 parking spaces. Next to it is the garage access to the 2nd and 3rd level for a total of 40 parking spaces. The proposed parking count is not satisfying the minimum parking requirements, so the applicant is requesting a parking variance providing 21 fewer parking spaces than required. Since the project is proposing 32 residential units for 40 parking spaces, this will provide at least one parking space per residential unit. However, the project shall allow the residents to park at the first level if needed, since priority should be provided to its future residents. The applicant shall enter into a declaration of restriction that if is any vehicular impact to the surrounding areas, for example, parking on the swale or blocking sidewalks, the building shall establish a valet parking services during working hours to minimize the parking impact so it can be maintained within the private parking facilities at all times. The project is also requesting a reduction in the pervious areas to 22% where 30% is required. It is important to reiterate that the north and east side shall include a lush landscaping buffer to improve privacy to the one-story building adjacent to the proposed improvements. To increase the density and height, the following incentive points are provided to comply with the regulations. Mixed-use building and pedestrian-oriented ground level, 1 point. Parking located in the rear and the block from the street view, 1 point. Significant amenities, the mural by an artist, 1 point. And redevelopment of a corner site, 1 point. The total amount of points is sufficient to comply with the requested height and density increases. If any of these points are not able to be provided, the applicant shall provide a replacement prior site plan approval. The proposal is an improvement to the area, which will provide amenities to the overall area, and similar lots along the corridor have been requesting the expansion of the MBD and have produced successful projects within the near vicinity. However, the parking must be checked so no negative impacts are felt in the surrounding neighborhood. Therefore, the following conditions are required. Provide a declaration of restrictions and unity of title to include timelines for redevelopment, and valet services are required if any parking overflow occurs. Truck loading and unloading is to occur within the designated areas at all times. Sidewalks and curbs need to be redone along East 9th Street and East 2nd Avenue to eliminate parking on the sidewalk. A CBS wall 6 feet height is required along the north side property line with lush landscaping is to be provided along the north and the east side. Its recommendations is approval with conditions to the SUP and variances.
Thank you.
Okay.
Do you have any comments or questions?
No comments, other than, yes, we accept the conditions, should it be approved, okay? I have no questions on. We have agreed, with respect to the parking, we're trying to minimize the parking by assigning parkings to our residents. Therefore, 2 parking spaces for each, multiple bedroom units and 1 parking space for the other. That would cover the 40 units in total. So there will be, and also in addition, we have agreed to the restriction of the valet parking. There is a restaurant downstairs that we plan. Obviously, it's producing more pedestrian activity and also will require our tenant to have a valet. Let me go by my, hold on a second, please. Okay, so we basically, I think, are covering the question about the parking. On the tail end of the first, the 2050 plan.
Ma'am,
I would also like to add.
if you could turn on the microphone, please.
I would also like to add that given the newer and younger population, there is a lot to be said that the younger population is now utilizing alternative modes of travel, such as the bikes, the motorized bikes. They're also using public transportation more often, and Hialeah is not just full of old folks, 68 and 79 residents here. So, there's a younger crowd coming in, the Gen Zs, my children here. So, we just want to make, I believe if you've looked at the renderings and everything, it definitely is an improvement to that corner site. So I would ask that you approve it with the conditions and conditions to be met by us. The declaration, the unity of title is being done and it's already in process and applied for with the county.
Thank you. Comments or questions from the board?
Through the chair?
Yes, sir.
Why the reduction in landscaping? Why are you asking for a reduction in landscaping?
The reduction is actually to the pervious area. So the whatever area the footprint of the building is, so they are providing 22% of pervious area. So we will be able to meet the landscaping requirements, all the trees and all the bushes are required, but the pervious areas, the green area are being reduced.
And the reason for that is?
To feed the project, the footprint of the entire project with the mixed use, the commercial. They have like a gallery style with a staircase going up to the commercial areas.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your collaboration, Ms. Calhoun. Thank you. Everyone, Ms. Oliva, thank you very much for all your help.
We received a letter from one of the neighbors in the
Okay.
neighborhood that I need to read into the.
Yes, you can
The
read
record?
it, and I have it here. I will address her concerns.
Okay.
As well.
This letter is to officially voice my objection to allow a lower 58 spaces where a minimum of 77 spaces would be required. This would be a mixed-use development, including 32 residential units and approximately 3,600 square feet of commercial space at the properties located at 901 East 2nd Avenue and 925 East 2nd Avenue, Hialeah, Florida, 33010. I feel this is a gross neglect by the city of Hialeah to allow this to happen. Nowadays, most households of 2 adults, 1-bedroom apartments require 2 parking spaces, not to mention visitors. Public transportation in Miami-Dade County is the worst in the nation, though creating the need for multiple vehicles in a single household. This would mean that you would need at least 64 spaces for tenants and some additional spaces for visitors. Now, add to the equation the commercial spaces. If you have 2 different businesses renting spaces, they would have to at least a couple of employees, each running the businesses, and they would have customers, clients, patients, and in and out at different hours of the day. If you allow the lower ratio of parking spaces, where would all these people park? The city already has parking issues with the older buildings, not having enough parking spaces, and you are looking to create more issues with the lack of parking. Thank you for taking in consideration my letter. Is it okay if I read the name and the address of the person? Yeah. Cristina Novoa, owner of 230 East 9th Street, Hialeah, Florida, 33010.
Thank you.
Okay, I don't know if she's on Zoom, Ms. Novoa. I would just say that I disagree with your statement regarding the Miami-Dade transportation being the worst in the nation. Miami-Dade County ranks 28 out of 69 counties when you're comparing connectivity, frequency, and quality of the availability of the public transport system, okay? Secondly, I am trying to accommodate that by our future tenants having rules and regulations in addendum to their leases where they will be assigned parking spots. The assigned parking spots will be accommodated with the valet, which we will agree to on the conditions. We will have valet for both our residents and our commercial tenants, which means that they will only park in their assigned. We have agreed for the construction to include the sidewalks and new curbs, which would prevent any parking on the swales. Therefore, I believe that, with the conditions met and the assignment of the parking and the valet, we should be able to avoid any type of negative impact to the city.
Thank you.
Through the chair,
Yes, sir.
will there be street parking allowed in this area or no?
Not in this location. So the commercial area is going to face 9th Street, which is not an area to promote. And in the 2nd Avenue, it's going to be the access to the garages. So not in this area, not particularly surrounding the building itself.
Through the chair. I see there's like a big building. Now,
Sorry, yes, it's a 7-story building. We have commercial.
Speak into the microphone, please.
It's a commercial retail downstairs. I propose a restaurant which would create a lot more pedestrian activity, obviously, which is what we're looking towards in Hialeah, to have pedestrian activity as we do in Brickell, as we do in South Beach and everywhere else.
okay, my question is, you have a big building. and
Yes, sir.
It has a parking garage.
It has a parking garage on the second and
you're
third
short.
floor.
And you're short, what, 8 spaces?
Yes,
Is it
sir.
40? Why not just make another level and you get your 8 spaces or more?
I will answer that. Because anything above 75 feet, right now we're at 68 feet, I believe. If we add another floor, there are a lot more fire regulations with regards to safety. So anything above 68 feet, which is where we're at now,
Okay,
would create more of a hindrance in the construction.
okay.
And through the chair, if I may also to add that, this is to the side is considered a mid-rise building for the building code. So if she goes to another, it will be considered a high rise. So and then a series of other requirements that will come into play.
And this is gonna be the tallest building, because in that area, there's no other tall buildings like that, right?
Yes, they are. So if you go south, if you go west, there is a 4-story building as well.
West
If you go west in that same street
on 9th?
on 9th. Yes,
There's a what?
it's a four-story,
Oh, 4 story.
4 stories.
This is 7 story.
That it will be 7th, correct?
Okay.
Should be the highest one there.
In that block, yes.
And we will be building the 6-foot CBS wall in the rear because we have R2 residents in the back to secure their privacy, given that there's going to be a lot of pedestrian walks activity. And we'll also be providing that wall to the east because we have a R2 also there. Single residence homes. There's 2 floors of, we also have accommodated within those parking spots for 4 guests. And I believe there's 3 handicaps, which is not included in the tally. So we have a loading and unloading zone for the back of the retail area. So that takes up a couple of spots, which I believe that in the evening, once the retail stores are closed and the restaurant is closed, some of the residents will get priority on the first floor so they can park their cars there in the evening after a certain hour.
Okay.
Through the chair?
Yes, sir.
So it's correct that she's saying that the handicap and the guest parking aren't included in the tally?
We counted all those parking
you did,
spaces.
so-
Oh, you
Yes,
did?
we did. Yes.
Okay, because she's saying it didn't, that's why I was like.
No, we did. Yeah.
But you're still short.
Yes, I'm still short, yeah.
Yeah, it's.
But as I said, the first floor would be, first preferences would be for the tenants after certain hours. And we also have a loading and unloading in the first floor parking, which would also free up a lot of space for the evening hours for the tenants as well.
Okay.
My concern is the size. Like in that area, like I don't see anything that big. I mean, I know the TOD district, you have these huge buildings on 25th Street, but here, like it's like more residential.
Well, basically, you only have 4 floors of residence from 4 to 7 because 2 of the floors are for parking. I believe across, which would be south and to the west, as she said, is a 5-story building and has a lot more than 32 units.
Okay.
Through the chair.
Yes.
If you go directly to the east, there's actually a 5-story building right on the street.
On East 2nd Avenue?
It's on
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 4th.
5th Ave.
4th.
East 5th and East 9th.
East 5th.
Oh, yes, there is. That new one right there on the corner of East 5th. Yes, there
By the
is.
Sedanos area, I guess.
Through the chair,
Yes.
anything for affordable, like workforce, first responders or like for housing?
I didn't apply for any type of a special housing or anything, grants or anything like that. This is all being done with investors. But, this is a workforce, type of a building, obviously, so. I also believe that, in response to Ms. Novoa, 2 vehicles per family household, nowadays with 2 car notes, insurance for 2 vehicles. I believe that would be an unnecessary, undue financial burden on most young families, which I don't believe that is accurate information as well, or an accurate allegation.
Okay, we need to move along. Can we get a motion? Oh, do we have anyone in the audience that want to?
Say something.
He's for, not opposing.
Okay.
This is my son, one of the LLLP partners.
Hi,
Name and
my
address,
name is
please.
Jeremy Rodriguez. I just wanted to address some of the things that were maybe said to her. She didn't get to clarify. As far as like the Gen Z population, yeah, we don't drive as much. We do look for public transportation. We do look for bike access. We do look for other modes, as the first presentator said earlier. I think with her, what she said, in accordance of everything that we want to do, I don't think the parking would be an issue. There's also multiple, Mr. Jimenez, he brought up something about other big buildings, Pura Vida. If you're familiar on Hialeah Drive, I know it's not in the same corridor, but that's like 8 floors. I think it would be a big plus for that whole area. I've read reports, they see Hialeah being the new Brickell by 2050, where you're going to have high rises, mid rises, you're going to have public transportation, the ease of pedestrian walkways and whatnot. So that's basically what I wanted to add on to her. I don't know if she maybe clarified that in a more,
I mean,
better way.
based on what you have right now, I think it's a great improvement. It's going to look a lot better.
Thank you.
And 8 space is not that bad, like we've approved other projects similar,
Okay.
Can you state your name and address again, please?
Yes, Jeremy Rodriguez. I live on 1450 Lincoln Road, Miami Beach. Born and raised in Hialeah. Hialeah Hospital. I just moved over there to the beach.
Okay.
Just moved.
We'll give you a pass in.
I'm sorry?
Is this going to be the first building in Hialeah with valet parking?
You know what? That's a good question.
Yeah,
I
right.
wouldn't- Off the top of my head, I can't tell you.
Okay. Anyone else? I closes the public hearing. Anyone on no? No. All right. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion to approve with conditions by Mr. Ulloa and second by Mr. Mason. Mr. Mason,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Mr. Santisteban.
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa.
Yes.
Mr. Perez.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, to the board, and
Thank you
everybody have a
for
great evening.
thank you for hanging in there.
Yeah.
It's been a long night,
You're
but
welcome.
You get that Miami Beach slide, okay? You get that slide with Miami Beach.
Working on it.
Born and raised in Hialeah.
You gotta come back. You gotta come back home.
Yep.
I'm gonna actually, I don't know if you got familiar with the Hialeah Cougars Park, Optimus, that they're now operating over there out of Sparks Park. Those are a lot of my good friends, so I'm trying to come back to Hialeah.
There you go.
all right.
Slowly but surely.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you guys, everybody.
All right.
Good night.
We got one more item.
Have a great night.
You too.
Miscellaneous items not requiring advertising. Final plat, Vascardio Center.
Through the chair, this is just north of 49th Street between East First Avenue and East First Court. So there is no objections for this request.
Did we save the best for last? Is that what it is?
Okay.
That's that cardiac care place, right?
When you want to identify yourself real quick for the record? You might as well. You hung in there all night.
Javier Morejon with Johnny Barr and Associates, 777 Northwest 72nd Avenue, Suite 3025, 33126. Yes, it's the Vast Cardio. Basically, we're going through our subdivision approval process, and we're looking for the approval of the final plat.
See, you made it official now. You made it onto YouTube, so they can see you. They can't say that you weren't here. All right. All right. Comments or questions?
He just arrived, right?
No, he's been here.
Can you give me a full explanation of the process? No, just.
All right. What's the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve.
Second, third.
Sorry.
Motion to approve by Mr. Ulloa and second by Mr. Iglesias.
Somebody. Somebody.
Mr.
Anybody.
Santisteban,
Yes.
Mr. Ulloa,
Yes.
Mr. Perez,
Yes.
Mr. Mason,
Yes.
Mr. Iglesias.
Yes.
Mr. Jimenez.
Yes.
Item has been approved.
Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.
Good.
Thank you.
Number 10, old business. Number 11, new business.
Guys,
New business?
yes.
Uh-oh, look out.
It it was a pleasure working with you guys. As you guys know, I'm resigning as of tomorrow. A big opportunity, the Santi Esteban family, I couldn't, pass along. You guys are very gifted, passionate for the city, and it's an honor to serve with every single one of you. I've learned from you guys, the residents, law enforcement, the department, and everybody here. It's a pleasure. I hope to come eventually in the future, maybe an opportunity to serve again. But right now, at the moment, it's going to be tight for time. But again, it was an honor, and but you'll see me from here, couple times trying to.
If you leave, who's gonna
Rolling in the dough, huh?
And it's just an opportunity, career opportunity. I can't. It's been in the works for a year, so
Well, listen, the pleasure has been mutual. It's been an honor working with you.
and especially where I live, I wish I could serve, but the time, the slot where you have to
It's a gray area.
connectivity.
It's a gray.
Connectivity.
But who's gonna advocate for Hialeah Heights then?
No, that's still there because I'm working from home.
Ah,
All right,
It's a time.
You will be missed, my brother.
we hope you come in at least in Zoom,
No, I'll pop in and show up every so often, maybe cause a little.
Hey, thanks for the warning. Any more comments?
Thank
Any-
you,
Right?
Mr. Santisteban, for all your support and everything.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
It's an honor. That's all I know.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Eddie. All right, that being said, meeting's adjourned.